these historic chambers. Procedures for the public comment will be explained by the city attorney shortly. Procedures for the swearing in of parties for the planning and zoning and or quasi-judicial items will be explained by the city clerk. The members of the City Commission appearing for this meeting are Alex Diaz de la Portilla, Joe Carollo, Manolo Reyes, Jeffrey Watson, and me, Ken Russell, the Vice Chair. Also appearing are City Manager Art Noriega, City Attorney Victoria Mendez, and City Clerk Todd Hannon. The meeting will be opened with a prayer and a moment of silence by Commissioner Reyes, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Carollo. Please stand.
Lord Almighty, thanks for giving us this opportunity to serve your people. Please guide us and give us the wisdom to make the decision that will benefit those that need it the most. We plead you, Lord. And Mr. Chair, as you stated, I would like to respectfully request a moment of silence for Mrs. Nilda Rodriguez Pedrosa of Miami. She passed away last Sunday after a short but courageous battle with cancer, and at a very young age, only 47 years old. And it is a real sad thing because she just had twins that they are 2.5 years old, and you're living then without a mother. Nilda was a proud resident of our community, having attended Lourdes with Vicky and many other people that I know, Lourdes Academy, Miami-Dade College, and FIU. And then she graduated from New England Law in Boston and quickly began an impressive career in politics. She served as a counselor to countless elected officials at all levels of government, worked on presidential campaigns, served as a chief of staff of Florida Attorney General and U.S. Congressman, and a top policy advisor to a U.S. Senator. She was a skilled policymaker and a shrewd negotiator, also an eloquent speaker. Outside of her professional duties, she always found time to help those that needed the most. She served as a voice to the voiceless and was the highest ranking woman in the department and the second Hispanic to serve in that role. Nilda is described as having a heart of gold, being compassionate, selfless, optimistic, and full of energy. I want on a personal note to say that I met Nilda when she was very young. I met her through my son. And we consider her part of the family. And it has really been very painful for us. My wife, my son, my daughter-in-law, which was a very good friend of hers. And we're really going to miss you, Nilda. Thank you very much. I just would like a moment of silence. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Madam City Attorney, please state the procedures to be followed during this meeting.
Any person who is a lobbyist pursuant to Chapter 2, Article 6 of the Code of the City of Miami must register and comply with the related city requirements for lobbyists before appearing before the City Commission. A person may not lobby a city official, board member, or staff member until registering. A copy of the code section on lobbyists is available at the city clerk's office or online at www.municode.com. Any person making a presentation, formal request, or petition to the City Commission concerning real property must make the disclosures in writing. A copy of this code section is available at the office of the city clerk or online at www.municode.com. In accordance with Section 2-33FG, the city code and agenda, the material for each agenda is available during business hours and online 24 hours a day at www.miamigov.com. Any person may be heard by the City Commission through the chair and upon registering pursuant to the published notice for not more than 2 minutes on any proposition before the City Commission takes action or unless modified by the chair. Members of the public may call 305-250-5454 to speak directly to the City Commission on agenda items to be heard. Public comment will begin at approximately 9 a.m. or thereafter, and remain open until the public comment is closed by the chairperson. Members of the public wishing to address the body may also do so by submitting their written comments via the online form. Please visit www.miamigov.com/meeting instructions for detailed instructions on how to provide public comment using the online public comment form. The comments submitted through the comment form have been distributed to elected officials and will be distributed throughout the day so that the elected officials can consider the comments prior to making any decision. Additionally, the online comment form will remain open during the meeting to accept comments up until the chairperson closes the meeting. All comments submitted will be included as part of the record for this meeting. Public comment may also be provided live at City Hall at 3500 Pan American Drive, subject to all COVID regulations and restrictions, rules and procedures. Speakers who appear in person will be subject to screening for symptoms of COVID-19. Any persons exhibiting symptoms will not be permitted to enter City Hall. All interested parties are required to abide by state, county, and local emergency orders and are urged to practice social distancing. If the proposition is being continued or rescheduled, the opportunity to be heard will be at such later date before the City Commission takes action on such proposition. When addressing the City Commission, the member of the public must first state his or her name, his or her address, and what item will be spoken about. Any person with a disability requiring assistance, auxiliary aids, and services for this meeting may notify the city clerk. Section 286.0114 Florida statute specifically authorizes the city to prescribe procedures or forms for an individual to use in order to inform the board commission of the desire to be heard, to indicate his or her support, opposition, or neutrality on a proposition. The city, through its multiple comment options, has provided different methods to indicate, among other things, the public's support, opposition, or neutrality on items and topics to be discussed at the City Commission meeting. The public has been given the opportunity to provide public comment during the meeting and within reasonable proximity and time before the meeting. Please note, commissioners have generally been briefed by city staff and the city attorney on items on the agenda today. Anyone wishing to appeal a decision made by the City Commission for any matter considered at this meeting may need a verbatim record of the item. A video of this meeting may be requested at the Office of Communications or viewed online at www.miamigov.com. PZ items shall proceed according to Section 7.1.4 of the Miami 21 zoning ordinance as temporarily modified pursuant to Emergency Ordinance 13903 and 13914. Pursuant to those emergency ordinances, parties for any PZ items, including applicant, appellant, appellee, city staff, and any person recognized by the decision-making body as a qualified intervener, as well as applicants, representatives, and any experts testifying on behalf of the applicant, appellant, or appellee, may either be physically present at City Hall to be sworn in by oath or affirmation by the city clerk, or may appear virtually and make arrangements to be sworn in by oath or affirmation in person or at their location by an individual qualified person to perform such duty. Pursuant to Emergency Ordinance 13903, members of the general public who are not parties to an action pending before the City Commission are not required to be sworn in by oath or affirmation. The members of the City Commission shall disclose any ex parte communications pursuant to Section 286.0115 and Section 7.1.4.5 of the Miami 21 zoning ordinance. Staff will then briefly present each item to be heard. For applications requiring further approval, the applicant will present its application or request to the City Commission. If the applicant agrees with staff recommendation, the City Commission may proceed upon deliberation and decision. The applicant may also waive the right to an evidentiary hearing on the record. The order of presentation shall be as set forth in Miami 21 and the city code, providing the appellant shall present first. For appeals, the appellant will present its appeal to the City Commission, followed by the appellee. Staff will be allowed to make any recommendation they may have. The City of Miami requires that anyone requesting action by the City Commission must disclose before the hearing anything provided to or anyone for agreement to support or withhold objection to the requested action. Pursuant to Section 2-8, any documents offered to the City Commissioners that have not been provided 7 days before the meeting as part of the agenda materials will be entered into the record at the City Commission's discretion. When the City Commission takes action or votes on any proposition, it shall do so by roll call vote, which shall be recorded by the clerk and included in the record. Anyone wishing to appeal any decision, please silence all cell phone making devices. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. I'd like to move to the order of the day.
Chair, I do have a brief statement that I need to make.
Yes, Mr. Clerk.
The procedures for individuals who will be providing testimony to be sworn in for planning and zoning items and any quasi-judicial items on today's City Commission agenda will be as follows. The members of city staff or any other individuals required to be sworn in who are currently present at City Hall will be sworn in by me, the city clerk, immediately after I finish explaining these procedures. Those individuals who are appearing remotely may be sworn in now or at any time prior to the individual providing testimony for planning and zoning items and/or quasi-judicial items. Pursuant to Emergency Ordinance Number 13903, those individuals appearing remotely may be sworn in at their location by an individual qualified to administer the oath. After you are sworn in, please be sure to complete, sign, and notarize the affidavit provided to you by the City Attorney's Office. Each individual who will provide testimony must be sworn in and execute an affidavit. Please email a scanned version of the signed affidavit to the city clerk at thannon@miamigov.com prior to providing testimony on the planning and zoning item and/or quasi-judicial item. The affidavit shall be included in the record for the relevant item for which you will be providing testimony. Commissioners, are you comfortable with the notice provisions set forth in these uniform rules of procedures we have established for this meeting?
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Chair, if I may, is anyone in the chambers going to be speaking on any of the planning and zoning items on today's agenda? If you are, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give at today's meeting is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Mr. Manager, what have we got for the order of the day? Anything to be withdrawn, deferred, or continued?
We do, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chair, Commissioners, Madam City Attorney, and Mr. City Clerk. This time, the administration would like to defer and/or withdraw the following items. SR1 to be deferred to February 11th. FR1 to be withdrawn. FR2 to be deferred to the February 25th meeting. DI1 to be deferred to the February 11th meeting. PZ8 to be deferred to the February 11th meeting. And PZ9 to be deferred to the February 11th meeting. That concludes the items.
So I will reiterate what the manager said. It's a deferral of SR1 to February 11th. FR1, a withdrawal. FR2, a deferral to February, is it 11th, Mr. Clerk?
FR2 is to February 25th.
25th, thank you. I wrote it down wrong. DI1, deferral to February 11th. PZs 8 and 9, also February 11th, deferral.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
There's also an additional request to defer PZ2 to February 11th as well.
February 11th, deferral, PZ2. Any items that the commission would like to add for continuance, withdrawal, or deferral?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Watson.
I want to pull CA5.
CA5 you'd like to take out of the consent agenda for discussion, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right.
And as well, equally as well, PH8.
What action would you like on
I want to
PH8?
pull for discussion.
It is already set
has
for,
been.
okay, I'll make sure we take that separately.
Chairman?
Yes, Madam City Attorney.
If PZ 8 and 9 are being reset, I'm just putting the commission on notice that chances are 5, 6, and 7 will not, should not be heard.
Understood. So I'm going to ask the administration when we get to discussion on this, after we have a motion, to explain why certain things are being asked for deferral.
Right, we may not be able to address 5, 6, and 7.
I
I just
understand
wanted to
that.
put everybody on notice.
Yep, I fully understand that. I'm gonna get to a further, we'll discuss it before we take an action. Any other items to be deferred, withdrawn, or continued? Mr. Clerk?
Chair, I would like to list on the record the co-sponsor requests.
Just a moment on that. Let's get the ones with action. I know there's been a request for indefinite deferral of PZs 3 and 4. That's the Magnolia properties. Indefinite deferral on those. And I believe that's all I've got on my list for deferral, withdrawal, or continuance. And co-sponsor requests, Mr. Clerk?
Chair,
Yes.
the following co-sponsor requests have been made. PH 8, Mayor Suarez and Commissioner Russell. RE 5, Commissioner Carrillo. SR 1, Commissioner Carrillo. FR 4, Commissioner Reyes and Commissioner Carrillo. CA 3, CA 7, PH 1, PH 2, and PZ 2, Commissioner Russell. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I'd also like to co-sponsor RE4, the second tranche of the Forever Bond, wholeheartedly. Yes. Can you move your microphone, Commissioner, a little closer? I think it's on, but
I was told, Chair, that PH2 was going to be deferred, and I didn't hear that.
I have not heard that one either. Is there anyone seeking deferral on PH2, authorized special grant allocation CDBG?
In my briefing, that's what I was told.
Mr. Mensa nodding his head. Are you seeking deferral of that item, Mr. Mensa? If you could approach the dais, the lectern.
Judge Mensah, yes, Commissioner. We are going to change the allocations because we have the rental program right now. So we're going to remove all the rental part of it and move it to all businesses.
To what date would you like to defer that?
February 11th, Commissioner.
February 11th.
Okay, so that's PH2.
PH2.
I believe you also had told me that you were going to have an indefinite deferment of PH5. That's what I
Yes,
was
Commissioner.
told in my
Yes,
briefing.
Commissioner.
PH5, indefinite deferral. Any other items?
Now I'm wondering, what else I got here that they told me was going to be deferred, and they forgot to bring it up, but those are the ones that I remember off at this point in time.
Thank you. Is there a motion to effect everything that's been stated so far?
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla, second by Commissioner Reyes. So discussion, the question I would have is the one that the city attorney brought up, PZ 8 and 9, which is no net loss parks issue, correct? Who is requesting deferral of
I am.
PZ 8 and 9?
Commissioner Reyes is.
I am,
Commissioner Reyes.
yes. Because I want to clarify that we are going to have different developments that they are required to have no net loss, and this is it's a property that doesn't belong to us.
Correct.
It's a county property. And I want to clarify that if it is, they say that it's legal, but I don't want it to be duplicated by anybody else because it is, and besides that, we don't have control of it. And it is very important to me to clarify everything that it could not be duplicated or used by other people. You see, and I have to sit down with the planning department and to fully explain, and the city attorney to fully explain if this will fulfill the spirit of the law. You see?
And the letter. And the letter of the law.
And the letter of the law. And that is my question, and I don't want this to be misused by all the people that come and try to use our parks and then try to comply with not net loss, with even pieces of land that they might not.
Thank you. I know how important no net loss, that portion of the charter is to you, and I take that very seriously as well and want to respect your request. Can the planning department give us any clarity on, or the legal department, any clarity on no net loss? This is a rezoning of county land What I'd like to understand in the spirit of what Commissioner Reyes is asking, if we zone it, because currently it's unzoned land, and they're using it as a beachfront, a recreational area, if we zone it as CS, does that restrict the county from non-parks, non-recreational development there, or do they supersede us?
With all due respect, Mr. Chair, I would like to defer it because I would like to sit down. I'm not ready to vote for this. And I ask from my fellow commissioners, just to give me a chance to sit down and clarify this, and on a clear conscience, vote yes or no. But I cannot make a decision today.
So this
Unless
one,
I sit down and we cross all the Ts and dot all the Is on it.
are these single reading or two reading zoning issues, this rezoning?
Victoria, are
Chair,
these
it's on first reading. PZ 8 and 9 are on first
two
reading.
readings?
So it would require two readings. And the only reason I'm looking for some deference or cooperation, this is also tied to the entire rezoning, not the zoning, but the entire development project at Parent Jungle.
Yes, sir,
Right.
but with all due respect, 2 weeks,
Yes.
won't make it, won't hurt it at all.
They've been working on it for 5 years, so I'm
They've
sure
been
you're
working for
absolutely
5
correct.
years, 2 weeks more, additional 2 weeks, I don't want to be pressed or pushed into it.
Understood.
Yes, sir.
What item is that again? Commissioner?
I'm not talking about PC 8 and PC 9.
So this would effectively.
It's the use of
Yes.
not net laws, sir.
Yeah,
This would
Okay.
require the deferral of PZs 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, unless they could run separately. Mr. Director,
So my understanding is that PZ 5, 6, and 7 can run separately. We need to accomplish the no net loss before the effective date of the other projects. For 8 and 9 can run after.
8 and 9 is the rezoning,
8, 9 is the no net loss.
Right.
Rezoning of the land, yes.
of both land.
5,
But
6, 7 is.
5, 6, and 7 is the land use, special area plan, and the development agreement, right?
Yes, sir.
So in a sense, they're linked. We can't have, eventually, we can't have one without the other. 'cause you
Correct.
cannot effectuate the first three without the first two. But you can vote, we can vote on the first three today if we were
Yes,
to
sir.
choose to do so.
If you wish.
All right. So let's respect Commissioner Reyes for 8 and 9 at this point. Let's see if there's a will to move forward on 5, 6, and 7
I'm all for it.
for today.
I'm all for it.
second.
Okay. All right, so 8 and 9 is in the motion for deferral as well. Is there any further discussion or questions on any of the other items?
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Can we pull for discussion CA 7?
CA 7,
As much as a clarification from you as anybody.
Okay, CA 7.
yes, I will pull that out of the CA agenda as we get to that.
Okay.
Okay. CA 7 discussion.
Thank
One
you.
other question that I had. RE4, did someone mention it before?
RE4 has not been deferred at this point.
All right. Okay.
Mr. Clerk, PZ1 was deferred to February 11th, correct, in this list?
Yes, that's what I heard.
Right, because they haven't taken it up at Planning Zoning Appeals Board yet.
That's right, and
Yeah, so that is on the list already, all right.
that I wanted to ask, because in our agenda brief, I understood that PC1 was going to be deferred.
It is, it's on the list.
Okay.
No, it's in play. It's not on my list of deferrals.
No,
Oh,
continuing.
sorry, I have it marked as, so I'd like to add that one to the list.
Okay.
Procedurally, we must.
I'm sorry, I have another item.
PZ1 is the
Yes.
zoning text on co-living, which
We're
has
looking to
not
do-
yet been taken up by Planning Zoning Appeals Board. We must defer that item.
Yes, sir.
So that
Yes,
should have
sir.
been on the administration's
Yeah,
list for
exactly,
deferral.
yeah, I was told I have it here as the first.
It's another one
That's
you
right,
were,
yeah.
that we were missing. All right. We were missing a few from the list. All right.
They said 2, but they forgot to give us 1.
Got it. Any other questions or additions? Mr. Clerk?
PZ1 is being deferred or continued till when?
Deferred.
When is Planning Zoning Appeals Board taking this up? I heard it's March.
It's 1 month, so we could literally do it at the next PZ meeting, a month from now, or after
Which would
that.
put it on which agenda for us?
the next PZ meeting for us. So the second meeting in
February
February.
Would be
25th.
February 25th.
February 25th, please, yes.
Okay.
Okay, I
Mr.
also
Chair.
had PC 3, that it's
3 and 4 will be indefinitely deferred.
Okay.
We have added that to the list. Mr. Watson?
3 and 4.
Yeah, Mr.
indefinite.
Chair, also for discussion, SR1, please. Can we pull SR1 for discussion?
SR1 is already going to be deferred, so we will not be discussing SR1.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
PC1 is continued. 8 and 9 are deferred to February 11th.
Might be easier to ask which items we are taking up today.
Well, I think in the PC schedule, we're only going to have 10, 11, and 12 for what I'm saying.
10, 11, and 12 are still on the
Yeah.
agenda, yes.
You also still have 5, 6, and 7.
No.
5, 6, and
5,
7
6,
will be
and
heard.
7.
8 and 9 will not. If
Well, are they going to be heard 5, 6, and 7, or?
5, 6, and 7, yes. We will at least take them up today and see where it goes.
Okay.
Any further discussion on the order of the day? Hearing none, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, you're recognized.
I'd be recorded as a co-sponsor on RE5 by Commissioner Watson.
So noted.
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, are there any mayoral
Will
vetoes?
sponsor that too?
Chair, there are no mayoral vetoes.
Commissioner Reyes would also like to be noted as a co-sponsor on that last item.
RE5?
Yes.
Commissioner Reyes, co-sponsor, understood.
Myself also and Commissioner Reyes.
Understood.
Yes. So, on the consent agenda, it's been asked to pull CA 5 and CA 7. Is there a motion to pass CAs 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Reyes, seconded by the chair.
Okay, the ones that.
Oh,
are
I'm sorry,
given-
we need to do public comment. I apologize. I apologize. We are all excited and ready to go here.
Only CA 5 and 7 have been pulled for discussion.
Pulled for discussion, correct. I'd like to open the floor for public comment. Is there anyone here who would like to address any of the remaining items on the agenda in person? If so, please approach the separate lecterns. You're welcome. You have 2 minutes to address the commission. Just give your name, which item you're speaking on. You can each go to a separate agenda. Please respect social distancing. We'll clean the lectern between each user, but don't feel the need to touch it. We'll adjust the microphones for you, everything you need to do. So, good morning, ma'am.
Good morning,
You're
dear.
recognized.
Can you hear me? Oh, yeah. Yes. I live in that neighborhood since 1971.
I'm sorry, which item are you speaking on?
The PC10,
PZ10.
PC11, yeah, it's
And-
at 2201 Southwest 26th Street.
And your
Silver
name
Bluff.
is?
Josepa Reyes Anin.
You're welcome.
I might be his pariente, but I'm not, that I know of, by blood. We have the same last name.
Well, we might be, you know.
Yeah, we might be, you never know. We're from
Who never
Cuba,
knows?
honey.
You know, those Reyes, they were very,
They're everywhere.
run around, you know.
Be careful, you might get him to have to recuse himself.
Yeah. So my auntie had lived there since 1969. She's my neighbor. She's 103. And when we grew up in that neighborhood, the only park we had was down there by Shenandoah, the Shenandoah Pool area. Now there's a lot of people who are investing in Silver Bluff State to buy the older house. Some of those houses are even built before 1955. I'm having problems because it's good that they have the ordinance of picking up after your dog. People do pick up today because they used to just walk around, leave it there, and even in my own yard, leave it there. I understand. My kids went to Silver Bluff Elementary. I taught at Silver Bluff Elementary. And I don't think it should be a doggy park there either, because the problem is it's not only the smell, because we all still have the sewer. That's a stinky neighborhood. Silver Bluff State doesn't smell like perfume, honey. It smells like crap. For the people that is connected down there, the sewer thingy smells in the summer like you cannot breathe. But that corner, you see, people don't obey the crossing that they have for schooling. Silver Bluff is 2 blocks up ahead. So there's a schooling sign there that people don't obey. There's a lane and there's a street. They fly up and down. There's bricks in front of my auntie's house. Those brick things that it's showing you that you must go slow. They hit one of my cats like 3 months ago and broke a leg, and they kept going. Could be my daddy, who's 93, and walks in the neighborhood, walks around the neighborhood, and I'm petrified. If they have a doggy park there, people are going to be very relaxed and all that in there. But if people, some people walk the dog, some people will bring dogs from other area and park in the neighborhood, and they can get the doggy down and go down there. There's not parking space in that place more than 5 cars if they have a doggy park. What I like it is this. If they take that fence down, I myself as a citizen, without the city and anybody else, would build like a mini park with benches for people to sit, little trees, like gardening area, like they have like a triangle, you know, where the fossa is, the sewer is, they have a little triangle with rocks. I will do, as a citizen, that on my own. A few benches, a little trees, and a little piece of green somewhere. People can sit there. They can bring the doggy from the neighborhood, and they can sit there, have a little café con leche, or roam after hours. I don't care. It is their problem. But that's what I think.
Thank you.
I think it's dangerous because if they bring dogs from other parks, honey, the people in the neighborhood, doggies don't get along. Imagine if people from 17 come up and start parking and walking on the neighborhood and taking the dog there too. There's
Mr.
a
Chair.
beautiful one in Kennedy Park.
Thank you for your comments,
Thank
and
you.
thank you for coming.
Mr.
Commissioner,
Chair,
you're recognized.
ma'am, don't leave. I wanna clarify a couple of things.
Okay.
We haven't, the decision to make it a dog park hasn't been made yet. But you mentioned the pump station that is there in the corner. Well, that pump station, the county, we're working with them so they can enhance it. I understand what you mean. I mean, your concern and the stench. They want to enhance that pump
I know.
station, and we are trying to get it moved from there. We want to get it moved, and we are working with them. What we're going to do today is we are going to rezone that area as parks, you see, as a park. Now, the decision to make it a dog park or not hasn't been totally made. It has been requested
Yeah.
by most of the residents that there is not a place for them to take the dogs.
Near.
And has been very popular among people that has the residents.
Okay.
Now, hold on a second, let me finish. The part of the smell from the dog park, I have somebody, is the assistant director from Parks here, somebody that can explain, please come to the podium and explain how those dog parks will be cleaned every day.
Good morning, Commissioner. Good morning. Good morning.
You're recognized.
As far as cleaning of the dog park, we'll have a
name,
maintenance crew
please?
go by. Excuse me, Chris Evans, Assistant Director of Operations for the
Thank you.
City of Miami Parks and Rec Department. And as far as maintenance of the facility, we will have a crew go by every week to maintain every portion of the park there, dog park as well. So we will have a maintenance crew of 4 or 5 that'll come and service as part of their rounds in that neighborhood.
And that is, I don't know if that will calm your concern, but the decision of being a dog park or not, and it all depends on the will of the residents. Most of the residents want it, but I'm open. The only thing that we're doing here today is changing the zoning into park. Enable for us to be able to build a park, okay?
Okay, so if they're going to walk the doggy must not do nothing between,
To the microphone, please.
The microphone, ma'am, please.
they will do nothing between their houses till they get to the park. I don't believe that, because if they have to go, they're going to go.
Okay.
Most of those dogs already have the marked spot, and they go every day, and they do it.
Well, if they are running, if they're running around the neighborhood with the dog catcher should get them, because they shouldn't be.
I mean, the citizen.
Oh, the
They
citizen.
walk the doggies, and they
Yes.
tell the doggy, you can't go till you get to the little park.
Yeah, but you know what happened most of the times, and it is that we have a very, uneducated dog owners, a bunch of them. It happens around my house. That they walk the dog around my house and around the neighborhood, and they do what dogs do and everybody does, but they don't pick it up.
Fine,
And unless we start being, enforcing if there is, some sort of, ordinance that, makes them, pick up after their dogs, we have a lot of problems. I don't have a dog. And, in my house, as you sit on my porch and you smell the neighbors' dogs poop
Yeah.
all around because they don't pick it up.
No, they do, they do.
Okay,
And I
and this,
even put-
this way, that's why some of the neighbors said, okay,
Okay.
instead of having dogs doing their thing all over the neighborhood, let's have a place that they can bring the dogs to play and to do whatever they want to do. And then it will be clean. Okay, that was the rationale behind that when we met with some of the neighbors. When our next community meeting, could you please, when we are deciding what are we gonna do there, I'm welcoming you to comment on any other neighbor and provide your opinion and your concerns, okay?
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Good morning, sir. 2
Good
minutes.
morning. Good morning, Commission and fellow Miamians. My name's Sean McMahon, a Silver Bluff resident. I bought a home there in 2017. Since then, I've gotten a few dogs. And currently, if I want to take them to a dog park, I have to cross US 1 and go to one of the wonderful dog parks in Coconut Grove. They do have limited parking there, so it is mostly a walking activity for me. Crossing US 1 is a bit of a hassle. I would absolutely love to see PZ 10 and PC 11 be approved and have that residential property turned into civil space. Furthermore, I would really enjoy it to eventually be voted on to be a dog park. We're a small little neighborhood. We need a small little dog park for our dogs. We don't have to travel out of the neighborhood. We don't have to crowd Kennedy Park's small parking lot to try to park there and take our dog there, or crowd up Coconut Grove to go to the small one in the Grove. It'd be wonderful if my fellow Miamians' issue is homeowners not picking up their dogs' remnants, having a place where if they don't do it, our wonderful Parks Department will, I think, is a solution to her problem, not further increasing her problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else here who'd like to address the commission? Hearing none, I'll close the floor for public comment for those who are here, and we'll address anyone who has called in. Operator, is there anyone on the line who would like to speak with the commission? IT? Good morning. You're on with the City Commission. You have 2 minutes.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Oh, great, thank you. My name is Wendy Kalurdis. I'm the president and CEO of the Greater Miami and the Beaches Hotel Association, and I'm here on behalf of my board of directors and membership to speak on behalf of item PZ6 and PZ7. Oh, and my address is 1688 Meridian Avenue, Suite 500, Miami Beach, Florida, 33139. Jungle Island is celebrating its 85th anniversary later this year, and in order for the attraction to be sustainable for another 85 years, the park greatly needed to be revamped. ESJ Capital Partners is committed to delivering a product that will make our Miami community proud while still celebrating Jungle Island's rich history and the unique characteristics that everyone loves so much about the park. The pandemic has proven to us all the importance of places for safe outdoor adventures. A new attraction and hotel is good for tourism business and will help draw visitors from around the world. The addition of new attractions in a hotel will result in a significant amount of additional jobs. We're very, very excited about the project, and we hope that you will support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy.
Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Next call, please. Good morning. You're on with the City of Miami Commission. You have 2 minutes.
Good morning, Commissioner. My name is Morton Ehrlich. I'm president of the 1000 Venetian Condo Association. I want to speak with you about how an activity currently operating on Jungle Island is negatively impacting the quality of life of well over 500 people, and without question will continue to do so well into the future. How do I know? Because it's already started. Please, for a moment, can you just imagine yourself a resident of 1000 Venetian, directly across the narrowest part of the channel between Watson Island and the Venetian Causeway? Imagine watching a channel rapidly narrow because of the boat traffic moored on both sides of the channel to attend the Joya Beach Club on the Jungle Island property. These moored boats have so congested the channel that they present a clear and present danger, without question, for collision and fire. The dangerously narrow channel is so congested that the engine noise, when combined with the outrageously loud music from the moored boats themselves, I assure you, will make you crazy. On top of this, you'll hear the incessant bass booming noise from the beach club itself. But it's also a developing set of conditions that could easily lead to a channel disaster. However, with some controls, it might in fact be avoided. Okay, so what do you do about it? For starters, enforce the speed rule inside the channel. Also, I suggest two things. Control both boat parking in the narrow channel itself and a no hi-fi noise ordinance while parked in the channel. And you know, while you're still with us, as residents, reflect on this. As it stands today, almost everyone is a winner. The city, most certainly. ESJ, the owners of the property, most likely. The tourists and others who will use the attraction and stay at the hotel, for sure. But there is one important big loser. Because of the noise and the heightened activity of Jungle Island, an ever-deteriorating quality of life for you, at least for a moment or two, and the 500 residents of 1000 Venetian is certain. Does it matter? Well, I ask you to think about that, because it sure does matter to us. And many thanks for being with us. Many thanks for listening. Have a great day and stay safe.
Thank you, Morton. Thanks for your advocacy. Mr. Manager, isn't the police boat headquarters right in front of that exact channel?
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to ask police that question. I'm not entirely sure.
So I know that it is because we have a station right there at the Yacht Club, which is right next to here at Jungle Island, which is right across from the Venetian.
So having the boat there and having police there are probably two different things, though.
Okay, I believe they have
we'd have to check.
Personnel there as well in an office.
Yeah, we need to check kind of when that personnel is actually there. So
Got it.
I'll get an answer for you.
So the reason I ask is I'd like to ask if we can get some enhanced enforcement there of that channel, because it is a dangerous, narrow spot between both speed and noise.
Absolutely.
Because it is an issue there. I appreciate that. Is there anyone else on the line? I guess we can get an answer to the question on the Marine Patrol. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Chief Papier. Do we have, just a moment, if I can hold on this call, please. Good morning. Could you hold for 1 minute, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. Chief Papier, do we have manned personnel at the police boat station there on Jungle Island?
At the Marine Patrol Station at
Yes.
Jungle Island? Yes, that's our Marine Patrol office. It's not manned 24/7, but that is where the Marine Patrol unit works out of.
And that's where they station the boats and leave from
Yes,
as well,
sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
We had a resident just calling in from 1000 Venetian, asking if we can get additional enforcement of both speed through the channel right there in front of the Marine Patrol station, as well as noise for over loud party boats.
Absolutely. I didn't hear what time are we talking about?
They did not mention the time,
Okay.
but the speed is probably throughout the day. The noise is more likely.
We'll take care of it.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Good morning. Sorry to keep you waiting. Please state your name. You have 2 minutes with the City of Miami Commission.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman Russell, and good morning, Commissioners. My name is Greg Baldwin. I reside at 1000 Venetian Way, Unit number 702. I'm the Vice President of the Board of Directors of the 1000 Venetian Way Condominium Association. And I'm here to speak about the plans for Parrot Jungle Island, that's PZ 5, 6, and 7. We at 1000 are located directly across from Jungle Island, about 100 to 150 yards from it. And we're across the narrow channel of water that's between Biscayne Island and Watson Island. So we are Jungle Island's nearest residential neighbors. Now, one part of the Jungle Island plans are, I believe, already creating a danger to life and limb and setting up the city itself for massive liability. Because the plans include the Joya Beach Restaurant and Beach Club. And Joya caters to people arriving there by boat. We're not talking just boats, we're talking big boats, like mega yachts, and lots of them. And they moor in the narrowest part of the channel between the two islands in order to get access to Joya. But even just 5 or 6 or 7 of these boats almost completely block the channel. And they make navigation incredibly hazardous to themselves, their passengers, the general boating public just trying to get through, and public bay tours. We have given you all a video of what this looks like on just one random weekend. And you need to look at it if you haven't, because what you'll see is only half of how crowded and dangerous this gets. We live here. We see it almost every weekend. It's an accident waiting to happen. It's a danger to life and limb, and sooner or later, the combination of these crowded boats and the drinking is going to cause a tragic accident and maybe even, God forbid, a loss of life. And the noise from the boats that are there attracted by Joya are from the drunken, shouting, partying people and their ear-splitting music on the boats is simply beyond conception. Even with our windows shut, it actually drowns out TV and music that we're playing in our units, let alone conversation. My suggestion is you need to get control of this now, or you'll expose people to real physical danger and the city of Miami to massive potential liability. And the hundreds of people who live at 1,000 will at the same time lose their property values and their lifestyles as well.
Thank you.
So you do need to get control of this now while you still can.
Sir, a question for you, sir, before you hang up. What time of day are you noticing the most noise and speeding?
The boats begin to collect usually in the mid to late afternoon, around between 3 and 5 or 6. Sometimes they will stay there well beyond dark. About 3 weeks ago, the noise from them collected out there was completely unbearable.
Thank you.
It's usually on the weekends, usually from about 3 to 6 or 7.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you.
Chief, if you could add to the list then, not only noise and speeding, but illegal mooring in the channel.
Absolutely.
Should not be allowed as well.
Absolutely.
And it sounds like we're going to need to address this with Jungle Island as the item comes up with regard to their plan for boat, transitory dockage and boats that come to their beach clubs. So thank you very much, Chief. I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
This is, Chair, another example of residents from different parts of Miami complaining about alcohol. And Chief, we have to do something to stop alcohol being king in Miami, that whoever sells alcohol can do whatever they please. I mean, residents have a right. So it's hard for me to imagine that we have Marine Patrol units stationed there, even though, as you said, they're not 24/7. And we're allowing this kind of activity to go on. So there has to be a medium to be found where these cruise ships or whatever they are can bring in people there. They could enjoy themselves, they could make a living, but that it's done in such a way that they respect the rights of residents of the city. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is there anyone else?
Can you, Chief, have someone give a report to this body before the next meeting as to what has been found based upon what you've heard here today from residents? And
Absolutely.
And what have you done on it?
We'll definitely see what the problem is, look at it, speak to the residents. Additionally, we'll go out there and do more enforcement upon that area. The rafting of the boats that impede with the channel, there's also an order against it, so I shouldn't be doing it. We'll definitely move our enforcement over there and address it.
Thank you, sir.
So we'll get you a report.
Thank you, Chief. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the commission? Are there any more calls? Good morning, you're on with the City of Miami Commission. If you could please state your name, you got 2 minutes.
Good morning, this is Bill Talbert. I'm President and CEO of your Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau, here testifying in support of PZ 5, 6, and 7, the Jungle Island project. I have the ability now, and I do remember this was on the ballot a few years ago. My office is in Miami, I reside in Miami, and I did vote in support of this project. You have the private sector that's bringing money to the table in partnership with these approvals to make Jungle Island one of the premier eco-adventure attractions in the entire world. It's been voter approved. We need more attractions. We haven't had new attractions. And this will make us competitive in an environment that we're not competitive in today. With the Greater Miami Convention Visitors Bureau, we urge support of PZ5, PZ6, and PZ7. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Bill. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Are there any other calls? Hello?
Hello?
Good morning, you're on with the City of Miami Commission. Please state your name, you have 2 minutes.
Hi, good morning, Commissioners. My name is Wendy Walsh. My address is 152 Northeast 89th Street, El Portal, 33138. I'm the Principal Officer for Unite Here Local 355, the Hospitality Workers Union. I'm speaking this morning in support of PZ7, the development agreement that will govern Jungle Island SAP. As many of you know, our union represents thousands of hospitality workers here in South Florida, and almost all have been laid off as a result of COVID-19. The pandemic has devastated the hospitality industry here, and some hotels and restaurants will never recover. More than 70% of our membership remains laid off today, and many will still be trying to re-enter the hospitality industry years down the road. Our membership that are currently working have been hit hard by the virus, with new cases turning up weekly in our workplaces. And for these reasons, we haven't encouraged our workers to come to appear this morning, but our members are very excited about the Jungle Island project. The developer has a solid plan that will provide what will sorely be needed as new jobs on the other side of the pandemic. They've made a commitment to hire from the local community and to work with us to make sure that these are good jobs. The hospitality industry is never going to be the same after COVID. We need new ideas, new projects that are going to bring new jobs to our industry. And for this reason, we urge you to approve the development agreement today. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Good to hear from you. Are there any other calls? Good morning. Please state your name. You've got 2 minutes.
Hi, my name is Melissa Raymond, and I'm calling regarding the Jungle Island land use. I just want to say that I grew up down in Kendall, Miami, going to Parajungle as a child, and we've enjoyed taking my children to Jungle Island. And now that my kids are a little bit older, it would just be amazing to take them to an Echo Adventure Park and really have that experience with them and continue those memories. And it's nice to have like a destination. I live in Boca Raton, but it's so nice to be an hour away to be able to go for a day trip. We have a lot of friends and family that come in from out of town who love to go, and it would be a great way to bring friends and family. And I support the Echo Adventure Park.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are there any other calls? Good morning. Please state your name. You've got 2 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Bob Durez. I live at 200 Southeast 15th Road, 33129, right on the water, beautiful Biscayne Bay. I have 2 items. Just a quick one on PZ6, I believe, or PZ9, I believe it is, where they have rezoning of 3301 Rickenbacker, 11.8 acres. They don't state anywhere what they plan to use that for. But to move on to a more important item, and I'm glad I'm here today because this has been bothering me for a couple months. In regards to CA1, the abduction of children and missing children, and I'd also like to include muggings and this is in regards to the underlying 10.8 miles of underneath the metro rail. And I can understand the nice work they're doing at the substations where the trains are. But right now, you know, it's beautiful the way it is with the grass. It seems like we have the lobbyists, the landscapers, and the landscape architects and the nurseries where we have to cover all our grass with trees and shrubbery. And I went to an online symposium about a month ago, and it sure seemed like the landscape architect was running it, and any of the questions were, well, they were sort of loaded questions. You could tell the people that were tuned into the meeting were friends. So if you look at any of the drawings, all I can see now, and if you drive down to US 1, all I can see, you know, I can visually see anybody using the sidewalks on their bikes or walking. But with all the trees and bushes and shrubbery, I just think it's an invitation for purpose, you know, for people and for thieves and people that are unfortunately, you know, don't have any money right now and will take different measures to get food on their table. And I just think it needs to be dealt with. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your call. Appreciate it. Are there any other calls? That's it for public comment. Are there any other public comments at all, in person or otherwise? All right, we'll close public comment for the agenda, and we will move to the consent agenda, please. Is there a motion for CAs 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6? We'll leave off 5 and 7. Moved by Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla, seconded by Commissioner Reyes.
Second.
Can you say that again, the ones that you want to?
Everything but 5 and 7.
Okay, 6 and 7 need to be amended.
What's the amendment for item 6?
I believe 6, everyone received a copy of the substitution for 6, and then 7, I believe Mr. Dodd is going to come say what that amendment is.
What's the substance of the substitution?
The substitution for 6 was just the term. Remember, it was.
I just want to state it on the record.
Yeah, it was written wrong. We can reread it. You have it there? Oh, you don't have the substitution?
Just the general concept of the substance. I don't know the exact.
It was for 5 years.
5 years with a 5-year renewal.
Correct. I recall that. I just wanted it stated into the record, so that's been noted, and the substitution has been entered into the record as well, so that's for 6. We don't have to worry about 7 yet. So we have a motion on CA 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. Is there any further discussion on the dais? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. CA3, Commissioner Watson, I'm sorry, CA5, Commissioner Watson, you wanted to address?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, I've been clarified. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there a motion for CA5?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla, second by Commissioner Reyes.
Let me see.
CA5, this is a settlement.
Hold on a second.
Okay. Very good.
All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes on CA5. CA7, Commissioner Watson. I believe you pulled that one as well.
Well,
No, this one was just, I mentioned that it needed an amendment, and here's Mr. Dodd to say what.
Mr. Chair.
Good morning, Mr. Dodd. I do recall somebody
Yeah.
requesting this one to
Yeah,
be
that was
pulled for
pulled out.
discussion.
It was pulled.
Mr. Chair.
Just a moment, Commissioner. Director.
Hold on. Mr. Chair.
Yes, you're recognized.
Mr. Hannon, help me hold my hand here for a second. I made a mistake on my numbers, and so I was clarified on CA7. I was not clarified on CA5.
Would you like to reconsider?
Move to reconsider.
Would you like to reconsider CA5?
Yes,
Chair?
please.
Chair, you could have, if you're not changing a vote or anything, you could just have continued discussion, and if you need to go back and change your vote, then you can reconsider. But there's nothing wrong with revisiting the item just to discuss it.
We already voted it out, didn't we?
We have voted it up, Commissioner, but if Commissioner Watson is satisfied without a reconsideration, we'll see if we need to reconsider or not. Commissioner Watson, you're recognized if you'd like to ask any questions on CA5.
I want to go back. However we need to go back, yes, please.
Okay, so you're making a motion to reconsider?
Yes, motion to
five.
reconsider.
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Watson making the motion to reconsider CA5, seconded by Commissioner Carollo. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so CA5, we'll take it up fresh.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
hopefully my colleagues, Mr. Manager, reminds me of the event we had the other day and the young sergeant that had a chance, an opportunity to sing, and that for all of the great men and women that protect us. Be it on the record that, Mr. Manager, as we move forward, as relates to our good servants in blue, we should now have an opportunity, through you, a chance to revisit in the proper environment those things that strengthen them but not affect us. And I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Commissioner Watson. Is there a motion for CA5?
So move.
Second.
CA5 has been moved by Commissioner Watson, seconded by Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla. Thank you for those comments. Is there any further discussion on the dais? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And I apologize if I'm moving quickly. I don't mean to rush anyone in a
I
way that-
apologize for not keeping up.
Not your fault at all. CA7, who would like to, there's a motion from
Second.
Commissioner Carollo, seconded by Commissioner Reyes. Is there any discussion on CA7? Director Dodd, good morning.
Good morning, Commissioner. My name's Alan Dodd. I'm the Chief Resilience Officer for the city. And we'd just like to clarify that there is a match requirement that does go with this grant. We will receive $225,000 from the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation. And in order to receive the grant, we must provide matching funds of $325,000 in contributed goods and services, which is either from work that we will do through funds or that we will get from partners. It is covered by grants that we have received from the Nature Conservancy. We will get up to $400,000 from them. From work that we will be doing on our stormwater master plan, specifically on coastlines and standards, and also from our Miami Forever Bond projects that also have design requirements associated with our shorelines. So
Thank you.
the
So
grant
you're-
requirement is fully covered.
You're clarifying there's a match, but it is not creating a new hole in the budget.
That is correct.
Thank you very much. There's been a motion and a second on CA7,
And that amends the resolution.
and that is the amendment that the match is needed. All right. Is there any further discussion on CA7? All in favor say aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion passes.
I'm sorry, Chair, was that 5-0?
Yes, there was no negative vote. Okay. I think we're good there. On the PH agenda, can I get a motion for PH 1, 3, 4, 6, and 7? It's everything but 8, which has been pulled for discussion, as, and 7. I'm sorry, 6 and 7. 1, 3, 4, 6, and 7. Thank you very much. Is there any further discussion on those items?
PH 8, you received the substitution?
We are not taking up PH 8 yet.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. We have deferred PH 2 and PH 5. PH 8, there is some discussion. Who would like to address? Madam City Attorney, you had something?
A substitution was sent out on that item.
The basic substance of which is?
What?
Jose, are you going to discuss this item? Are you going to discuss this item?
Yes, he has a visual. He's
I
trying to
asked
get
this
it
to be
plugged in.
pulled.
Yes,
Right.
Commissioner Watson, you're recognized. Jose, just a moment, please.
Yeah, the question I have is, these environmental sensors in this pilot program, do we know where these environmental sensors are gonna go? Do
Currently,
any of us know?
there is two proposed sites
Please state
right
your name.
now. Well, first, Jose Regalado, Office of the City Manager, Assistant to the City Manager. These proposed pilot projects are in the Wynwood-Woonarf area, which will collect air quality data over time in the mixed-use streetscape plan. These are the actual sensors. There's already a few of them up due to previous partners locally, specifically Code for South Florida. And there's another project to measure the heat island effect in the Southwest Stream Master Plan. These are not final. This is just allows for us to proceed with the agreement, and we can pick the proposed sites and get it around the city. I do ensure that there will be sensors in every district in the city of Miami.
So,
Sensors that they're putting out, do you have pictures that we could see what they look like?
That's it.
Right
Is
here.
that all?
That's it.
Where are they put at?
They will be placed on the right-of-ways as well as our parks. So it has a solar panel here,
Right.
and there's a new one that will be smaller than this that will measure the heat island effect.
so this is for air quality?
This one specifically is for air quality.
Do they have any to help us with this dumping issue, problem?
No.
Microsoft, they got something.
This is all Microsoft research, no cost to us. We are going to partner with them, hopefully, and this is all an open data platform. So we welcome collaboration from every sector.
You're
Commissioner Watson,
saying-
we do have a camera system available set up for, if you have a hot spot for legal dumping.
You're saying Microsoft. Is Microsoft the one that's actually putting them up, or is there another company?
They will give it to us. Microsoft Research will give it to us, and we will put it up, or they will put it up. It's, the agreement is mutually, but there's no third-party entity.
All right, that was my question.
Commissioner, you recognized.
Yeah, just reach back out to them and find out if they can help us.
Absolutely.
I know we have cameras. We probably don't have enough, one. We don't have enough people to watch them, two. And I know they're far advanced in anything and anybody we can find. But we need some help with that because there's a lot of illegal dumping in areas that go unnoticed. So that's part of a collective piece of, if we can figure out who's doing it, we can nail them and help us with this problem. And that's great for air quality, but we need some additional help in areas that we don't have the manpower that suffices to help us with the problem. Okay? So in doing that, in research, if they can find that, they're good as gold. All right?
Of course, sir.
Thank
And I'll
you.
also meet with you to see what we can do internally.
Appreciate it.
Commissioner Diaz-del Portillo, you
Thank
recognized.
you. Mr. Regalado, how does the technology work? You said you would have some of these devices in every district throughout the city. And air quality obviously changes depending on what area you're in. How many are you going to put in each district, and how big is a pilot program, and how effective is it?
Right now, the pilot program is for 2 different sites. It's 1 year.
Right.
There is no firm set of how many sensors we are going to get. However, these are limited. There is a smaller sensor they're making for the Southwest Street Tree Master Plan area. That's the proposed site.
Right.
That will measure the heat island effect. So the heat index, how hot it is. It's a measure of temperature and humidity. And these are smaller, and we can put them more frequently.
Smaller than what you have in your hand?
Yes.
Okay, so those two, you have 2 of those little things that you have in your hand you're going to put up.
No, we're going to put them up. Right. There's also an opening for us to partner with them to do more sensors, including, because it's an open data platform, we can reach out to schools, we can go to...
Correct, but you said there would be 1 in every district. Or
Yes.
1 throughout the cities, but you only have 2 devices, so how does that math work?
For the 2 different projects, because of these smaller sensors need to be, or rather, these sensors, there's a limited quantity of them. So they're manufacturing them themselves. So as they continue, we'll increase the network, but it's really just for the pilot project that we start to create the mesh.
So what you're doing today, what we're passing today, is just for 2 devices in these 2 areas.
It opens up the avenue for us to increase the partnership and get more types of
That's not what
sensors.
I'm asking. What we're doing today is for 2 devices in these 2 areas. That's it.
What we're doing today is allowing the city manager to get into the agreement, and that will firm up any of those questions that you have, so we can put it in
No,
different.
no. What we're doing today is 2 devices in 2 areas. Later on, there'll be other conversations. We're putting additional devices in different parts of the district. You said to us that there would be some of these devices in every district, in other words, throughout the city.
Right.
But what we're doing today is only these 2 areas that you picked, or the administration picked, to place these devices. That's all we're doing today, right?
No, these are proposed sites. These are not, this is just the,
Okay, so if they're proposed sites, are you going to, there's still 2 sites, right?
there are 2 sites in a large area of the city.
That's not what I'm asking. If it's 5 districts and 2 of those devices, the math doesn't add up. So these 2 sites, why were they picked? Are these areas that the administration has identified?
Clarify that it's not just 2 devices.
Well, that's the point, right?
It's multiple devices within each of those potential locations.
Right, but why were these 2 areas picked? Is there an air quality problem in these 2 particular areas the administration has identified that I'm unaware of, or is it?
A few months ago, the Southwest Street Tree Master Plan came to the City Commission for an information session here. Prior to that, a month before, there was a nonprofit grant that measured heat island effect in that same area, as well as other parts in the city. The data was varying because it wasn't consistent. Since it was done with volunteers, it was done with volunteers. It wasn't a good data set. I don't want to say it's not a good data set, but it was because they all worked hard. But this was one of the avenues. This is not a final site. This was just an idea because it was approved by commission.
What specific area?
The Southwest Street Tree Master Plan.
No, but what specific area are these going in again?
Pardon?
Wynwood and.
What specific area are they going in?
The Southwest Street Tree Master Plan is one of the areas for the heat and humidity.
Mr. Regalado, could you describe the footprint of the Street Tree Master Plan? It covers several districts, so it would be good to explain that.
Golden Pines, Coral Gate, Shenandoah, Silver Bluff, Little Havana, West Flagler, I believe. La Pastorita, I believe, and the roads.
It's a super huge white area. Where are these that we're
These
approving?
specifics are in the Wynwood Woonarf area.
Wynwood?
Woonarf. It's a project for a mixed streetscape by planning.
By who?
Planning Department submitted the plans along with the resilience.
But why these areas? What's the logic behind the areas?
I can help with that. So
can help.
wherever we're going to do a large tree planting, we want to start to measure and see what a difference that makes. And so we need to measure before and then after the plantings. And these are 2 particular projects where we're doing big tree plantings, several trees in one spot, and they're in several districts. I'd recommend that if any of us has a area plan that we would like to see planted, make sure that it's included in this because it can make a big difference in sort of proving why it's good to plant trees in the area.
Yes,
Commissioner Reyes, you're recognizing Commissioner Correa.
Yes, and as I do understand what we're doing here today, we're opening up, we're authorizing the program. And that program, once we authorize that program, we are opening all areas in the city of Miami for to be able to obtain one of those devices, right? My only question is, and I know what you're trying to do, you just want to establish the program. And you're going to establish the program now with only 2. But that doesn't mean that other areas of the city can also benefit from the program, and you can bring that into the other areas. My question is, how do you all, what criteria are you going to use in order to pick for example, in Little Havana or in Flagami, in order for you guys to make the decision to place one of those devices?
We will meet with the district representatives.
Okay.
And talk about the different sites. This will just these were just proposed sites to have an idea of how this looks, how this could look.
Okay.
The sensors are also, there's only 2 sensors finalized now.
Okay.
But Microsoft is working on further sensors, including water quality sensors.
Summarize what we're doing, we're starting the program. And once the program is established, it could be enhanced.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
If I
Very clear.
may, Commissioner, one thing that I want to just highlight as part of this, he made a slight reference to the fact that data had already been collected, right, as part of that plan. And so the idea was, take that data, match it against this new data that's collected with the new sensors, so that you can see how the area is impacted by tree canopy. That's really the rationale for that location.
Okay.
When he says 2 sensors, he's talking 2 sensor types, not just 2 sensors will be installed. He's just saying that only 2 types of sensors have been developed.
That's helpful.
So I'm just trying to clarify, it's not just 2 sensors. There's no way, we won't collect any data with just 2 sensors. So there'll be multiple sensors. It's just Microsoft has only developed 2 product types as of this one.
That's helpful.
Thank you, Mr. Regalado. Are there any further questions on PH 8?
Well, the last thing, because I can understand the last word you were saying. So is this going to follow tree plans throughout the city, or just tree plans in those particular areas?
For street plans or tree plans?
Well,
So
last,
it will help us, and the data will aid us with infrastructure projects, as we actually can see how.
but it's
how
not
the
going to
analytics-
follow established plans. I heard you say something about a tree or a street. Was it street plans, or was it tree plans? When you name off the areas, La Havana, so on and so forth, that was based on already established plans?
Yes, that's the master plan for the Southwest Street Tree Master Plan.
Right,
And the
well-
Woonorf is a mixed-use street
So
plan.
we step out forward, regardless of whether an area has a plan, and have them now do it footprint citywide? Okay, yeah.
We'll work with it. It's the start of the pilot.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Watson. Any further discussion on PH 8? Hearing none, all in favor
Chair?
say aye. Yes.
I'm sorry, I did not catch a motion or a second?
Is there a motion for PH?
The motion?
Moved by Commissioner Carrillo, seconded by Commissioner Watson.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
As amended?
Yes, with the substitution as amended. Moving to the RE agenda, there was no request to pull anything in particular from the RE agenda. I have a question on RE 6.
I
So
do-
if,
I do too. I have some questions on RE4, RE7 I want to discuss, and I want to discuss openly with the city attorney one of my items sponsored by all of you, RE8.
RE8. So I will pull those items and I will see if we have the will to pass the remaining, which is RE1, 2, 3, and 5. Moved by Commissioner Reyes, seconded by...
Hold on.
Sure.
Well, I'm sorry, go through the process. I have a question on RE1 and RE2.
All right, I will pull RE1 and 2.
Yes.
Let's see if we can pass RE3, which is the settlement with the Marlins, and RE5. Is there a motion for RE3 and 5? Moved by
So
Commissioner
moved.
Reyes, second by Commissioner Watson. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Somebody want to talk about the Marlins? All right. Sorry, just a minute. All right, so we'll start with RE1 and RE2. Commissioner Carollo, I believe you asked for comment, or was that Commissioner Diaz-Portilla? RE1 and RE2. You're recognized.
Mr. Manager, we had, or Mr. Casamayor, better. We had some conversation yesterday about additional items that were going to be amended into this proposal. Has that been done?
We have not made the amendment, sir, and if you allow me to do so, I
Yes, sir.
will introduce
Please,
that.
please.
Fernando Casamayor, Assistant City Manager. Along with the items that are listed in RE1, we are asking that we include $150,000 to Brigade 2506, $150,000 to the Cuban Museum, and $365,000 in order to reopen the remaining amount of time for the Grapeland Water Park.
Does that include also the opening of within the item as amended, does that include the opening of the mini dump on 20th Street?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
And the $665,000 or so that we will be amending this for will be coming from the same reserve that we will be taking the rest of the 12.7 out.
Okay, and one additional question. There's $1 million in there, right, for a park?
That's RE2, sir.
Excuse me? we're talking about both items, or we're talking about RE1 or 2?
We're addressing both.
Okay, yeah, we're addressing both. So RE2 is $1 million for a park, I believe in Commissioner Russell's district, right? But right outside Commissioner Reyes' district, on 32nd Avenue and 29th Street, if I remember, something like that, right?
Yes, that's in the item. That doesn't need to be amended, though.
Oh, that's in the item, but, okay, so let's talk about it. Tell me about it. There's $1 million for a park, or acquisition of land for a park. Why is that a priority for this administration?
I'm going to defer to the district commissioner, but it's aligned, it's near the underline, so it's actually right abutting the underline. It is about 36,000 square feet, I believe, is the amount of land that would be there, so it will be complementary to the underline.
Well,
And
obviously you want $1 million for your district, I get that. But it's land that's being purchased for a project that we've already, for adjacent land to a project that we spent, I think, the underline, that I think that we spent a considerable amount of money, right, so far. Not only our city, but the county and feds and the state and everybody else. We keep pumping money into this project. So it's an administration proposal, maybe at the request of the commissioner, but my question is that a priority for us right now, to spend $1 million on acquisition of parkland for the underline again?
Sir, we're...
If I may, Commissioner?
Yes, sir.
It's not really, it'll happen to be an amenity for that footprint in terms of the underline, but it's also a parks acquisition that'll also serve us in the efforts to accomplish some of our goals with regards to no net loss as well.
Okay. The only concern that I have is that we continue to augment the funding for parks in District 2, and we're not prioritizing parks in the poorer parts of our city. And I want to be clear, every time this happens, I say it. I want to make sure that poor kids can have nice parks too. That's all.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Carollo? Could you turn your microphone on?
Where's the address of this property?
What, the park property?
Yes.
I believe it's 3950 Southwest 29th Street, and I'm going off the top of my head, sir.
And it's over 30,000 square feet, correct?
I believe it's about 36,000 square feet, according to the property appraiser.
And
It's 2 lots.
we bought the land already, it's ours. Or this is going to be part of what we're going to use to buy it?
Yes, sir.
What's the total price of that land?
I don't have that with me. I need a moment to get the total price.
I think it's a little over $2 million. There's some also additional money from Commissioner Russell's office that's being reallocated from Virginia Key. So it's a combination of the two.
How much were you reallocating, Commissioner, approximately?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
I'm saying from his office, how much was he?
Yeah, I believe it was $1.5 million that was coming from a project in Virginia Key, I believe.
It was coming from where?
A project in Virginia Key
Okay.
for Arthur Lamb Road.
So he was reallocating that money?
Yes, he's reallocating that money.
So look, all our parks need priority. I understand what Commissioner Diaz-Portillo stated, we all feel that way, but the bulk of the money is being reallocated within District 2. So, that's a pretty big chunk of land that we don't have many opportunities throughout our whole city. I don't care what district you want to look at, to acquire big chunks of land like this that are 25, 30, 35, 40,000 square feet. So when you find them, I truly believe you got to grab them and move forward with them. So
Thank you, Commissioner.
even though I would like it to be in my district that has the least parks.
I'll tell you though,
district,
it is very close to District 3 and 4, and it is definitely not within a wealthy part of District 2.
No,
This
it's
is
not.
this is a part north of US 1.
It is.
That
It's a poor
definitely
area.
could use.
Yeah, it's an area that's poor.
And I'm
But
sorry.
But Chairman Russell, hold on a second.
Yes, you're recognized.
So to be clear,
Yes.
1.5 million was a reallocation from Virginia Key to this area.
Whatever it states in the thing, yes.
There's an additional million from general revenue going here,
From park impact fees.
from general revenue, right?
Yeah.
1.5, there's an
It's
additional.
park
hold on.
impact.
Right, but it's still an additional million.
Yes.
So it's not a movement from within District 2. There's an additional million being put here, right? Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, just want to clarify.
I'd like to, if you give me a moment to also clarify, I mentioned it was 3950, I believe it's 3250,
Okay.
Southwest 29th Street.
Okay.
That's next to my district.
Does this impact our no net loss policy?
It may.
We would have to rezone it.
We would have to rezone and it would add an additional 36,000 square feet, almost an acre.
Okay.
But there is no net loss there.
No, but does it impact future no net
no net
loss
loss because-
conversations? Once they readjust it?
No, that's.
Yes, it does.
Doesn't apply.
It does. Actually, it
Okay.
does. It does.
I'm ready to move on. Was there a motion made on this? or-
Just a minute, Commissioner Watson?
Yeah, let me just say this as it relates to the parks and how they are and what we spend. And Commissioner, my colleague, just mentioned something. All these parks in different areas get used for different things. So I want to ask the manager, please, on a lot of my parks are organizations that are dying on the vine. I wish they could move to other locations to continue their operations, but they're dealing with kids and they're dealing with funding sources that won't allow them to move. And, you know, Lord knows, a lot of these kids that they deal with need to be kept being dealt with. And so to that end, I'm not trying to lift a blanket policy, but take a look at the parks in 5, where you have organizations who deal with kids on our parks inside. And let's find some sort of way for them to have at least a limited operation. Because the trust in these other organizations, I tried to get something to be moved. They won't fund them if they move to a church. They won't fund them if they move somewhere else. But they're down on the vine. So let's see if we can help them out in some kind of way. All right. Thank you.
Okay, is there a motion, this item?
We have a motion from Commissioner Reyes, second from Commissioner Carollo, for RE1 and RE2.
I think it was RE1. We were
RE1.
making the, RE1, RE2 is fine.
Okay.
That's right.
There's been a motion and a second on RE1 and RE2.
And Chair, just for the record, RE1 is being amended, RE2 is being adopted as is.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Aye.
Thank you. I believe we have RE5 at this.
RE3?
RE3 we have not taken up yet either. Thank you. RE3.
RE3 was
I'm
adopted.
sorry. We did, yes, we did.
RE4 is in play?
So we took up
Mismarked my
RE1.
agenda, thank you. The only remaining item, Mr. Clerk, on the RE agenda is RE4.
No, you got RE7 that I mentioned.
RE4,
Four, six,
7,
Got it,
8.
so we did
And 8.
5. Thank you. I mismarked my
4,
agenda. I
6, 7, and
apologize.
8.
All right, so let's move to RE4, please.
Okay.
This is the tranche 2 of the Miami Forever bonds. Who would like to address this item?
Well, let me ask a quick question here.
Yes, Commissioner Watson.
I thought that the amendment on the budget items was taken out by Commissioner Carollo for discussion. No?
Which amendment?
The amended budget items. RE2. I thought RE2.
Yes, we addressed and we discussed. If there's something you'd like to further discuss on RE2, we can reconsider it.
Well, let me now go back to at least that item. I wanted to find out the ability to add some monies to the communications department for the social media aspect. I know it's great for the mayor to get 2 million tweets, but none of us are engaged in that. Some of us do it offline, but it'd be good and great for them to be able to do it to the extent they can. So if there's an ability to add some money to that on your, we can bring it back. It doesn't have to be done today, but ability to do that, and we can talk about whatever that is in a minimal way. Okay?
All right, we'll certainly look into that. Yeah.
All right. Thank
I
you.
suggest, Commissioner Watson, you sit with the manager.
Yes,
Go over with him and then bring back whatever you all.
most
decide.
definitely. Thank you.
Thank you. So we are on RE4, which I believe is your item, Commissioner Watson.
Yes. Well, I'll let Mr.
Good morning, Commissioners. RE4 is an intent to reimburse
Name,
the general fund for $40 million for affordable.
Just to introduce yourself, please, before
Okay.
you start.
Keith Carswell, Office of the City Manager.
Thank you very much. Sorry about that.
RE4 is an intent to reimburse the general fund for $40 million for affordable housing as part of Tranche 2 of the GLB. As you may recall, Tranche 1 had about $15 million for affordable housing.
Can I ask
within-
you, can I interrupt you for 1 second? I'm sorry. So the full $40 million is for affordable housing?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we had 15 before that we'd let go. We had 85 left. So this would bring us up to 55 million, and it would leave us only with 45 million left.
Correct. And what is important to note also, as part of that Tranche 1, there was $5 million for infill, $10 million for multifamily. Of that $10 million, 9.9 has been committed already through the commission. So in order for us to consider any additional projects, such as the one that was approved by you with Block 55, that funding would come out of the 40 million allocation.
In other words, the 5 million that we agreed upon, and I think all of us basically sponsored it, that 5 million is going to be part of this 40 million.
Yes.
Okay, so we could start with agreeing on 5 million here. So let's talk about the other 35 million.
And one of the things that the administration has been seeking, as you know, you sponsored an item where the commission established a task force. There was one appointee to the task force from the commission, but because of financial disclosure, that individual decided not to participate. And so one of the challenges that we've had is that we've kind of looked for direction. There have been some informal discussions about the allocation of the balance of the proceeds, whether it's going to be done based on CDBG allocation, whether it's going to be done based on a first-come, first-served basis. We have, through community development, we've had an open RFP process, and through that open process, I can tell you we have about 8 projects in various stages of review, and of those 8 projects, 6 are in D5, just by nature of the activity and the opportunities. And so from the administration standpoint, at some point, I guess we would look for some further direction. But the other item that you approved today, thankfully, was a signature project, something that was totally unique, with 250,000 square feet that you approved. So that was different than what we have historically done. But I think going forward, we will welcome some direction.
Well, okay, Chair, can I speak?
You're recognized.
Look, the biggest concern that I'm having is that since I've arrived here, I keep hearing that everything that we need to approve in rezoning, when developers can only build, let's say, 200 units, and they're asking for us to approve 400, 500, 600, is that you need to approve this because we're going to give you such a deal. We're going to give you workforce housing. And this workforce housing is the biggest fraud that I have seen since I've been in this city. What we're doing is we're pretending to the public that we're doing what's right. Look what we've accomplished. When in fact, all we're doing is letting a handful of developers fill their pockets so they could become more filthy rich. And we're not doing anything for the residents that live in the city. That workforce housing, which in a 2-bedroom, you might be lucky if there's a $200 difference a month between market cost. It's going to be for people that are going to be coming from outside of the city of Miami, moving in here, not for our residents. Furthermore, it's going to start changing many, if not most, of our neighborhoods, where in Commissioner Watson's district, you're going to be getting people very different in cultural, in maybe skin color, in many other ways, from the people that live there. The people that live there are going to be pushed out more and more, and they're going to be poorer and poorer. My district, the same thing is happening. Commissioner Reyes' district and Diaz-Ortiz district is happening, even in the areas of Commissioner Russell's district, like the West Grove and some other areas. One area is where we just approved monies for this park land. So, you know, I know it sounds great when we pitch it to the public and the media, but my mother had a saying that paper holds as much ink as you want to put into it. I want to be realistic. I came here to truly try to accomplish something and leave it behind for future generations, that we can actually create a product that will be unique, that I think could be duplicated in the rest of the country, where residents that live here, not that we're bringing from somewhere else, are going to be able to own their own home. And that's the big difference. And once we give this money out with all these ideas, then, yeah, you mentioned, and I know it's good bait for Commissioner Watson, that most is in his district. But how much is really going to help that district? I don't know. I mean, I would take the lead from him. The concern that I have is that it's going to certain, that you could count them in one hand and you're going to be real short, developers, and they're all putting top dollars for what they're doing. And I've seen this from the county to here. And my question is, we need to, before we start giving all this money out, and frankly, you guys in the administration cook it up before we even decide. We're here supposedly just to rubber stamp everything. And I'm not a rubber stamper. So we need to analyze this whole workforce gig. Can we on our own do better than workforce? And what I'm bringing in for next meeting, and Mr. Manager, they had 2 weeks, the people we met with. I'm bringing in something for next February meeting, whether they want it or not, because all we did was give those people the courtesy of a meeting. They don't own our land. This is a sidebar issue that I want the manager to understand. But once we give money out for these products, that's it. We give it one time only. I want to be able to recycle our dollars so that at most every 2 years, we get our money back and we keep using it. And you can only do that by giving people home ownership, where they get a mortgage, and it's going to be very easy for the bulk of our residents to be able to get it in the plan we're going to propose. And all we got to do is build. We give it to them at cost, which is probably going to be 50% less than market rate. There has to be a deed restriction for the life of that property. Otherwise, people are going to sell it the next day, a month later, 6 months, a year later, and they're going to make a lot of money, and then we accomplish nothing. So there's going to be a deed restriction that can happen, and we'll explain in another time how that's going to be done and how it'll work. But the difference is going to be that at most within 2 years, once we build a product, someone gets a mortgage, they move in. The minute they get that mortgage, we get our money back. And we start again rebuilding. And you keep on and on and on. And with that same money that we're giving out for all this workforce housing, that, by the way, we have no way of making sure, monitoring now or in the future, if they're even going to keep their word that they're going to have workforce housing. I mean, my God, if we don't have people to look at and patrol, as we heard here from neighbors today. Yachts coming in, music as loud as it will go, the drinking. Commissioner Russell's famous 2 homes in the Grove that were on top of each other. And nobody in the city of Miami ever saw anything. We got places in my district that for 6 years, hundreds of thousands of dollars spent without a single permit. No fire sprinklers. Didn't even have in the back alcohol permits to be sold. No food to be given. The front, the back, everywhere was changed. For 6 years, nobody ever saw anything. And you're going to tell me that we're going to monitor to see if all these people that we're giving hundreds and hundreds of additional units to build, we're going to monitor to see if they actually did workforce housing, that it's only a little bit in difference to market rate? I don't think so. Now, all you guys, I know that you're going to give us that spill because at the end of the day, your biggest worry is making sure that every 2 weeks you go get a paycheck and, you know, you'll be there, you think, as the people up here change. But I'm tired. Frankly, if I can't do anything for the people of this city being up here, I don't want to be here. And, Mr. Manager, this has to be changed. And by the way, getting a little bit from this, we need to bring all our employees back. We can't be paying huge salaries on people being at home. If all of our employees that work for each of us have to come to work every day, if each of us have to come to work every day and are out there with the public, every other employee of the city of Miami needs to come to work and stop being at home. And those that don't want to do that, then they shouldn't be working for us anymore. I mean, I'm at risk. Every one of us is at risk. Every one of our employees is at risk as much as anybody else who works for the city. So, having said that, let me go back to this. I think that we need to see how we're going to spend this money. I don't want to approve more money when you guys are cooking it up already, and you're just giving me the final plate for me just to rubber stamp it and, you know, approve it. Otherwise, I'm a bad guy because all this workforce housing that we're not going to give out.
Commissioner,
Keith,
if I could clarify.
Keith, let me handle this. So I think there does need to be a little bit of clarification. This is clearly defined as an intent resolution. The idea is the commission is saying, we intend to spend this money, right, on affordable housing. Now we need to go figure out what that plan to spend the money is. That's the whole reason why he made a reference on the committee that's still not fully formed, which this commission voted to structure to give guidance on how to spend that money. We have not cooked up a single thing with regards to how this money gets spent. The commission, as sort of straightforward as like, has to really help us, guide us, and give us what their priorities are with regards to how this money gets spent.
Well,
that was the intent of the committee, to formalize it and create a strategy. But in order for us to ever be able to spend the money, you have to pass the intent resolution first.
Mr. Manager, I suggest that you speak to the committee and give any of us the opportunity to address them that we haven't had. Like I would have liked the same with the committee that was meeting here yesterday, hearing to the potential police chief candidates. It would have been nice if before that started, they could have heard from any one of us that had wanted to have spoken on our observations. I'm glad that we at least had two former Miami police chiefs in that committee. Chief Clarence Dixon, an excellent former police chief, along with former Chief Ken Harms, that was a very good police chief also. And both of them, from different perspectives in life, in many other areas, but one perspective in knowing what our police department needs, were two very good choices to have been put into that committee.
Commissioner, if I could go back to what you had brought up a second ago, because I know we're getting into a little bit of your discussion items, but I think, Mr. Manager, Commissioner Carollo is actually giving the guidance, and he wants to be heard that workforce is not the greatest problem we have with regard to affordable housing. And Commissioner Reyes has said this for years,
Yes.
that workforce is a giveaway. Now, I know that if we are trying to woo tech to the city of Miami, we will need workforce housing. We will need to be able to house young professionals. But what they're saying, when you're looking at the bond, when our residents have, given us the ability to use their tax dollars to go out and bond monies to create affordable housing, they want real affordable housing with deep affordability. Let's use zoning to work on workforce level housing. Let's use other incentives, but let's take the bond, which
Absolutely.
is limited, and let's go deep. Let's really make it count.
Absolutely.
Let's really leverage it, and let's get real affordable housing, ELI housing.
Yes.
This is, and I will not give up pushing on workforce and at the new levels that workforce is defined. Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. But I think you're getting a message here on how that tranche should be concentrated as you issue RFPs for this.
It has to be affordable housing,
That's what,
not workforce housing.
So, Mr.
may I?
Chair.
Oh.
Go ahead, Commissioner. Sorry.
okay. You see, I'm glad that we have a consensus that workforce is, and most of the literature, they specify and I'm criticizing workforce is that workforce was a term used in order to avoid using affordable, because in some neighborhoods they were not too popular, the term affordable. And that has been abused and it's not workforce. I agree with Commissioner Russell that if we are going to use that term workforce and we want to give an incentive, which I don't think that we have, I agree with Commissioner Carollo, we don't have a manpower to make sure that those promises are complied. Those developers comply with those promises. But this is our money, and this money is going to be invested by us, or it's going to be leveraged with developers. So we are in a position that we can determine, okay, we're going to leverage this money, but we're going to do it in a way that we are going to benefit those people that need it the most. And those people that need it the most in our city. You see, I really, and I said it again, you see, I said it, since I first got here, you see, we are losing people that live in Overtown. We're losing people that live in Little Havana. You see, because there's not enough affordable housing and the development, it is out of their range. You see, we have to take care of those people and don't lose them. See, Liberty City, Little Havana, Overtown. Overtown, you can see Overtown is totally, it's the essence of Overtown, in my opinion, is in danger. So what I'm saying is that I agree that we should really seriously look at developing units for home ownership. Home ownership is extremely important for the neighborhoods, to preserve the neighborhoods. It's extremely important. And it provides the people that could afford it with a sense of pride, you see? And I, all the time, I remember back in the days when I was the economist for the Overtown Park West Redevelopment Project, that was one of the things that we tried all the time with Herb Bailey, that we wanted to, the message that we wanted to send, home ownership, you see? And having said that, I see that we have, I don't know, $35 million. I don't know how that is going to be divided, but we need some of that money for land acquisition. We'll need some of that money for land acquisition. And in those districts that they have projects down the pipe, you see that we have, for example, I was land banking because I wanted to make an affordable housing project there. I have 4 lots that I want to make it onto homes that people can, first-time buyers can buy at a cost, you see? And then I agree that that money can be recycled again and again. And I want to ask you to sit down, think, how can we best spend this money in different areas? You see? How can best we spend this money? And let's get the biggest bang for the buck. The biggest bang for the buck.
Mr. Chair.
And please keep in mind that part of this money have to go to home ownership. And the workforce and all those things that Commissioner Carollo was referring to, put them aside. Let's provide our people that are paying these bonds with real affordable housing. Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, you're recognized.
Mr. Manager. The whole affordable housing area gets to be kind of designated and defined, not necessarily by us, but by federal government as relates to pulling down and accessing sources of money. So workforce is a category we didn't start. It already exists for the purposes of the Housing Finance Authority and so on and so forth. But I can say this in observation, and now being here, Commissioner Carollo and Commissioner Reyes has been fairly consistent, if not 99%, 100% of what they want. And I think as the board of who sets the policy for what the Finance Committee does, you have been asking for an opportunity to speak to everyone regarding this effort, this interest. This, however, is our money, and they're arguing for the people who agreed to tax themselves for us to get that money. They be the recipients of that money.
Yep.
So I would suggest, if we're going to move forward in support of this pull down, you get with us, everybody will make themselves available, not to be all over the place, but to be in one accord. There's a priority for everybody, for home ownership first, and then anything else that will give us an opportunity to provide to the residents of the city of Miami here now what's going to be done. If workforce is a category that needs to be captured, it will be captured in another way. But we need to be able to say to you, here's how we're going to do it. No, we're not going to get 10,000 units out of this money. It's not happening. But we all can get something reasonably sufficient for the people who now expect us to get them something reasonably sufficient in the area of homeownership. So if we're going to, and I'm going to continue to move forward, because I'm as finance and legal, I want to do something different. But if you're saying to us, the 35 will not now be spent until after you get with us, and now there's a plan for finance to move forward, okay? And I won't bifurcate it. If that's what's going to happen, then we'll move forward. If it's not going to happen, I'll take my name off of it, and then it goes away. Okay? So I just want to make sure, right? I'll make the time to get with you. I think others will as well. we can set the framework for how the money now goes out, right?
We will absolutely meet with each of you individually to discuss framework. I'm crystal clear on where Commissioner Reyes and Commissioner Carollo sit on this issue in terms of how to spend the money and the strategy. I'll sit with Commissioner Russell, Diaz de la Portilla, and yourself, and we'll go through what the options are relative to strategy and a specific focus. And then what I suggest we do is subsequent to that, have a dedicated meeting specific to this issue.
We had a dedicated meeting.
Huh?
I saw the dedicated meeting y'all had about the housing guy didn't know what he was talking about. And Commissioner Carollo and Commissioner Reyes were saying the same thing they say in a day. I saw that dedicated meeting. Matter of fact, he was on a panel with me, and he didn't know what he was talking about then. So that was a waste of time. That guy from FIU, wasted time.
Yeah, but I wasn't here then. So
I know,
let-
but that's what I'm
So
saying to you.
I'm going to tell you that there's a different mindset, and this is my background. So I have a lot more familiarity with this topic than any of the prior city managers ahead of me. So I
thought
think.
your background was parking and parking structure.
Yeah, well, before parking, it was affordable housing. So I think the issue for us, right, is that there are nuances to what they feel is key to their strategy. They're not the same, by the way, they aren't. Because Commissioner Carollo has a very specific focus on home ownership, right? And Commissioner Reyes is focused on the true affordability piece. They are leveraged different, right? And the order of magnitude is different in terms of how much of that product, depending on whether you do rental, whether you do home ownership, they're different. So there's nuance to it. So I want to make sure that everybody, all 5 commissioners are clear, right? That if we're going to expend money, this is a strategy, right? And it works for everybody. All 5 commissioners need to have buy-in on this. So it's a lot more work. And that's part of the issue here. We're going to have to work at this because it's not just as easy and as simple because there is difference in terms of the strategy.
Sir, if I may, because you referred to what my objective is, there is no conflict between home ownership, in my opinion, and affordable housing. We need them both. But I want that home ownership be, one of the, I would say, the primary objective. Because in certain areas, we even have lots that they are not being used, or lots that we have kept for a long time. You don't need to buy that land, and there are small lots. You cannot build a building there, but we can build a house. You see, you have that in District 5, a lot of them. You can build a home there. You see, let's say that 2,000 square feet home and 1,900. You can build it and sell it at cost. You see, I can give you an example. I have 4 lots that they were going to be a park. They shouldn't be a park. The neighbors don't want it. I'm trying to change it. You see, change it in a way, to change the zoning in a way that I can build 4 homes there at cost. Will be sold to people that are first-time homeowners, and we can expand that program. Commissioner Carollo has a plan. Commissioner Watson also has a plan, and I know that he wants both also. You see, we can leverage some of this money, and you know that, with private sector and create real affordable housing too. You see, we have to be. We cannot be simplistic in our approach. You see, we cannot be simplistic in our approach. It is not either or. Let's see what opportunities we have, and be smart, and provide our residents with the best product that we can, and with real ownership. Home ownership and real affordable housing. That's the only thing that I'm saying. We are not in conflict here or within just one or the other. It all depends. You see, what land do we have?
Let me bring some reality into this, because whatever experience you've had in low-income housing, Mr. Manager, has come from the same old 101 book that everybody follows, and that ain't gonna work in today's world. What I will be proposing to this commission will be housing to own, where our residents, not transplants from somewhere else to Miami, our residents that live here will be able to own their own place, paying basically the same thing, maybe in some cases even less, that they will pay for affordable rental units. It's a big difference. Now, what I'm going to be proposing is going to be bold but safe. I don't like to have so much vision that you can't get something accomplished. I've seen great leaders, some that I started with that sat in this very dais that has some of the best visions, but you got to be able to have your feet in the ground to get it accomplished. And believe you me, I got my feet in the ground, very solid in this, and know how to move forward in accomplishing this. The biggest challenge that we're going to have is all these developers from workforce housing. They don't want this to work, because if it works, they're not going to be able to fill their pockets like they've been doing for years with all the extra money that we've been giving away by giving them all the extra zoning to build more units that they were not allowed to have. One of the items that we will have in this program is that we will begin in accepting individuals that have lived in the city of Miami limits for 10 years or more. And limited to that, once if we get to the point that we find housing for anyone that has lived here 10 years or more, then we could go to 8 years, then eventually 5 years, if we ever get to that. But right now, and Commissioner Watson, you weren't here when this was approved, but I want to make sure that you're aware of it. This commission had passed a resolution that I asked for it to pass that states that we would provide up to $250 million in bank guarantees for our projects for affordable housing to own in the city for construction loans from banks, which means that if we all had land ready to go, with that amount of money, we could build at least 2,500 units that we could have rolling in approximately 2 years. Now, you probably have more land than the rest of us that is city-owned, that could be ready to go. I have quite a bit, especially with the manager's assistants and the mayor's, a meeting that we had the day before yesterday, or maybe last week, I forgot now, I lost track, or Monday. But I have land that we could immediately go to. Commissioner Reyes might have to acquire some.
Yes.
I don't know if Commissioner Russell and Diaz-Portilla would have to acquire some. They might have some. But the bottom line is that we should have enough land to be able to bring in the bulk of these 2,500 units in play. And this is why I'd like to see some of this $35 million not be lost forever, so we could acquire some additional land in the areas of the city that we don't have land for this, so that We don't have to look at any other pots to acquire land. But for all these years, we've been doing things one way. Everything's rental, 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 rental. All that I'm asking is that give us the opportunity one time so you could see what we could do with home ownership. If I'm all wet, that's fine. But you know what? I think you're going to be surprised. And I think you're going to see a product that is going to make one heck of a difference in the lives of thousands of people in our city, and everybody else across the country is going to want to copy it. But it takes willpower. Willpower from one of the main motors, if not the main motor, that has carried politics in this city, developers. They're the ones with all the bucks, and of course, they're going to have the bucks, because if, you buy a lot that for the purpose of being simplistic, you could build 200 units, and that cost you $2 million. But now we gave you, on this workforce story, the ability to build 400 units. It's worth $4 million right off the bat. You don't even have to build. You could turn it around and give it to another developer. You made yourself some really good profit. And then the guy that builds, the developer that is actually going to build, is going to make even more if the market is good, in being able to build 400 units instead of the 200 that they were building. And this is why everything in our city has cost more. Construction, our restaurants, when our people go out, I mean, basically, you look at some of our restaurants, they're catered for foreigners, tourists, on their prices. The ones that buy a lot of these so-called workforce housing, that they only live, a month or two out of the year. I've said enough.
Question?
I'm sorry.
No, just a question through the chair.
You reckon?
On the issue of the Finance Committee approving this tranche to pull down, we now ultimately decide on what happens with that tranche. Am I correct?
Yeah, other than the $5 million for Block 55 that was approved, there are no projects assigned to this tranche, if you will.
Okay.
And the projects will meet the criteria of the 7 strategies for affordable housing that were developed, that were approved by the City Commission. Any particular project that will be considered at some future date and time will not only go through the loan committee, but it also will come to this body for consideration. And at that time, any of the concerns that were expressed or felt consideration that the commission could look at in a body, they can take a look and judge those projects as they come forward on their own merits. What we will also do is the manager and I, we've been meeting individually with different commissioners. There is
all the commissioners, not different commissioners.
Well, we've been meeting with all the commissioners. And I concur that there are differences in districts in terms of needs. In one area, you may have home ownership, condo home ownership, individual home ownership, and some you may have multifamily may be more appropriate. But we will go through that task of meeting with each of you to kind of get a sense of how you want those allocated to address the particular needs and issues in your particular district.
When was the $250 million passed by the commission on the bank guarantees? When was that done?
Clerk, can you get in the date when the $250 million resolution was made?
Yes, sir. Give me just a moment.
And on legal, that's now, we're able to back that? Are we able to backstop the $250 million on the bank guarantee issue? And what's the revenue source for that to be backed?
I'm sorry, with the backstop,
Well, if we're going to provide $250 million, and it's been passed to do bank guarantees, we need to have a source in order to do that. Am I correct?
Right, the way that we passed that resolution is obviously with availability of funds and, you know, moving
but-
So
forward.
this becomes also, hold on, Commissioner, 1 second. This also becomes part and parcel of our plan. I mean, I don't have a problem with us fitting it, well, at least with us five, fitting into 2,500 units. So we're trying to get to what the plan's going to be. I don't hear that as many nuances as we think. And so the question is, we have land. We'll agree 2,500 units. We have $250 million plus our own GOB money. We now have the semblance of a plan that's going to give us an opportunity to be a part of priority one, home ownership. There's a deep subsidy, because Commissioner fights all the time. He's an economist, so he fights about this AMI. We're going to have to be deep subsidy lenders for that.
Yes.
And then there's others, right? And so that needs to be the basis of a discussion coming forward to us, so that we can now not continue to talk about the plan. It's 2017 this was passed, but now roll something out fairly quickly, or you're going to continue to have this discussion. Okay?
Yes,
So if you're going to pull that down, make sure the plan is to come to us fairly quickly before any other the 35 million gets moved, because now we keep whittling it down, and do not get the results that I've heard now. The two of them say outside here as well, the manager wasn't here, outside, that's their interest. Okay? That's their interest. Okay? So let's do that, okay, as quickly as possible. You have the makings and foundation of a plan. Let's find a revenue source, and all of a sudden now, we don't have 35 million, we have approximately 300 million. Because we can find the source in order to backstop those guarantees for that money.
But if I could be clear, crystal clear, Commissioner, the resolution that was passed was a resolution for us to control and work that money, that we, the city, would provide our own guarantee to the banks from the city and those construction loans for the type of projects that I've been talking about, that we will go out and build for condos to own, apartments to own.
No, I'm ecstatic about it, I agree.
I can read it if you want. I found it.
No,
We'll make
no, I just wanted to know if it's passed, but.
I don't want to get all those developers so excited now. They
but-
think they got another
See-
250 million they could take from us.
Yeah, but the commissioner, I just wanted to put on the record, the commissioner knows as well, in passing that resolution, we have to find the money to do it. So the bank, this is great, we have the resolution, we have to make sure now we have funding in order to do that backstop. If we do, we are way beyond the curve as relates to now not having just this, but the other, and we now become the persons that decide in our districts where that gets spent. We have land as well. So we have 100% of what we need in order to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish, right? So it should not be a long conversation, Mr. Manager, but a short one in developing a plan on how we move forward, right?
Okay, what we are dealing now is with this, how much money is left, $35 million?
Yes.
And how are we going to use it? And are you proposing any measure that, I think that every one of us, we have our needs in our districts. Are we going to divide this equally amongst all the districts, or are we going to do it based on CDBG?
We have not gotten that direction in terms of how the 35 will be allocated. I would say that we are moving forward on those individual projects that we have met with, and it is the intent to fund those projects from this pot of money. And so those projects will be consistent with the 7 strategies that were adopted. Right now, there's an open RFP process. Other projects are coming in. And I think the manager, as he's indicated before.
As I stated before, you see, I have some projects in the pipeline.
Right.
And I need money for land acquisition. Where am I going to get that? Unless I have some funds assigned now that I can tell you 2 lots that I'm looking at, and I'm working with a developer, maybe in order to build, start a public-private enterprise, you see? So if I don't have an idea of how much I can dispose of or how much I can offer, those projects are going to go down the drain. Because if it is a first come, first served basis,
This
I
is
don't think
reminding
it's
me like the CARES money for businesses.
yeah,
I still have so many questions on that and what happened, how it was done, that.
yeah. Okay,
Look-
so I would like to have, I would like to really know if district by district, how much of this funds can be allocated to our district. See, as I said, I have two projects on the pipeline that I'm talking with a developer. But how I'm gonna, how we got,
Commissioner,
what can I offer?
may I suggest this to you? Let's not get into that today because
Yeah.
this money is not going to be touched.
Okay.
If I'm going to approve this today,
Okay,
I'm 40 million. Because if we don't have an agreement, I'm only going to approve 5 million, the one that we approved before for the
Yes.
project in District 5.
that is already.
But if we're going to
set aside.
approve another 35 million,
That's right.
I want to be crystal clear that nothing is to be done with that money. I don't want to see you guys meeting with every developer in town, which is really about 2 or 3 that you'll be looking at, because there are going to be discussions coming real quick for this commission to act. And again, I'm laying it out. Each of us look into our districts, see what we have in properties that we could move on because we're ready to go. Obviously, Commissioner Watson is new, but the rest of us, 3 of us right here, and the mayor have been here for a little over 3 years now, talking about the same thing, and we haven't put the first shovel in the ground for housing for our people that live here. A lot of shovels, a lot of money for workforce housing, for transplants to move into Miami. In fact, one thing I'd like for you to do, Mr. Manager, give me a list of all the projects that since the 3 of us started November 17, actually I came in December 17, so let's make it January 17, have been approved for workforce housing. How many workforce housing units we had approved, if any of those are built already, and if so, find out where the people came from. The others that came before I and Commissioner Reyes were elected, find out how many workforce housing units we had in the previous 4 years. Those have certainly built by now, you would think. And, give me a listing of how many of those people that moved in were really local people.
Yes.
Because what I'm seeing is every time I see one of these workforce housing buildings go up, they get filled with people that I've never seen nor do I see in any of our neighborhoods. Now, I got no problem against New Yorkers, people from my old town, Chicago, New England, California, coming down here. But you know what? If we're going to be giving our dollars, we're going to be letting developers fill their pockets with monies that they shouldn't be getting as much because they should share some of that with the city so we could build real affordable housing, then I want to know where these people are coming from.
Mr. Chair?
Thank you, Commissioner. If I could just, just a second, Commissioner Reyes. What Commissioner Carollo is saying is very poignant. And it goes back to what I was saying before. If we're going to use our funds, we don't have to touch HUD dollars necessarily for projects. We still have to follow fair housing laws, but we don't need to go through the HUD red tape of local preference.
Oh, okay.
And that local preference issue is what keeps all of our residents
Absolutely.
out of the housing that we build. And so I'd like to see our bonds try to, where possible, focus on keeping neighborhoods together
Yes.
instead of tearing them apart.
Yes.
So Commissioner Reyes, you recognize.
Yes, since we're talking about this, and I'm going to present a motion that we approve this, but the division, I mean, the way that this money is going to be used cannot be touched until it is decided and it is discussed with every single one of us, and we agree on a way of distributing these funds for affordable housing, be it ownership or rentals, with every single one of the commissioners. And every single one of our projects should be analyzed.
Thank you. That's a
Okay.
motion from Commissioner Reyes. I'll second by the chair. There's been a direction given on some further discussion on separation of the funding before it's spent. Is there any further discussion on RE4? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Motion passes.
And Chair, that is as is, no
As is,
amendment.
correct. It's just a direction, not an amendment.
So we do a separate directive, correct?
Yes.
I don't think you need a motion for that directive.
No, I know, I just wanted to make sure for purposes of the legislation, like.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, thank you, as long as it's captured correctly. RE6 is the Wi-Fi in city parks, and we got a memo from the manager, I believe yesterday, saying that this could cost $2.9 million with $400,000 a year to put Wi-Fi into parks. So I had offered to co-sponsor this, but I'd like to investigate it further to understand exactly what problem we're solving with this. And the reason I mention that is anyone who has access to Wi-Fi with the phone would also have a data plan for what these days is relatively quick speed to view whatever they would need. So what are we solving by putting Wi-Fi into parks? Because I love the idea, but at this expense, I want to really make sure we're not duplicating something that already exists.
Yeah, and I think from our perspective, we also, getting clear direction from the commission on that, on the specifics, and over the next window, trying to clarify, because it might mean that we're using different technology in different parks, for example, or that we could do a little bit of shift to do something around a park. So I think, as we understood it, it's sort of the beginning of a longer-term goal to get everybody connected.
That is definitely a valid goal. Commissioner, this is your item.
Yes, it is.
I'd love to hear more about where this comes from and where it's going for the $3,400,000 a year.
Well, I don't know if it's $3,400,000. What's the exact amount? Because you haven't really given us an exact amount of what it is, right?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I'm sorry. Is it 3.4 million?
Now, the number,
Of course.
the numbers are range, quite frankly. We, again, in this point in the discovery, we came at it a couple different ways to see if the numbers were any different. And the number, I think, that we proposed on there is between 1.5 and 3. And again, a couple different ways to slice this, and more discovery on what's available in terms of fiber in the area will affect that range. So there's going to be a kind of minimum amount of equipment we're going to need in these facilities to do something at an enterprise scale.
Correct. So what we're trying to do here is sort of address the digital divide that exists in our city, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, that exists in District 2, but it exists in District 1, 3, 5, right? And 4 too. So the idea here is to bring Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi to all our residents that cannot afford it. So we have about 32, in Miami, 32.2% of our residents do not have Wi-Fi access. And we saw what problem that created when COVID-19 hit, and all of a sudden, in houses and in places that kids could not access, didn't have a laptop to begin with, but they couldn't even access Wi-Fi. They had some inexpensive laptop, right? So the idea for this, so you understand, Commissioner, is that spending $1 million in a park is important, but spending 1.5 to start to move Miami forward so all kids can have access to Wi-Fi is the idea behind this. So if you follow that line of thought, that line of thinking, right, that's why we're proposing this. So it's better if you walk us through it quickly of why this makes sense, and it's part of an overall proposal that I'll do down the line as I move forward, not only for parks. As COVID-19 has hit, now we want people to, not kids to convene in libraries, but to convene in parks and be able to access Wi-Fi and do things that they want to do and things that they need, whether it's education, or we can partner up with the school board, and we can partner up with other entities, governmental and private, to make sure that our kids that we bridge a digital divide.
Understood.
So walk me through that and walk the commissioners through that to see why we want to get there and how we can get there. And we can do it by phases, as we spoke about yesterday.
Yep.
Which means that there are large parks and medium parks and small parks in each district, and we do like 3 parks per district to begin that process. So it's an incremental process. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. But we have to begin to invest in bridging that digital divide. And if we can walk the commissioners through what we talked about yesterday.
Yes, so. Excuse me for a second.
Yes, sir.
I need to clarify something for the record that Commissioner Diaz-Portillo stated. The $1 million that we voted upon for a park in District 2, it's not money that we could have used for anything other than parks. That was from park impact.
I understand that, Commissioner,
But I want to make that clear because you were making the comparison.
Well, making a comparison in terms of how government prioritizes how we move forward.
No, it's not
Well,
that, because
Commissioner.
if you have monies that can only
I
go to
understand.
parks,
I
that's
understand.
the only place they could go.
Or we have monies that we just allocate in our budget reallocation, it can go to organizations, so we can go to water parks, and we can go to anything from general revenue that we spend dollars on. This idea is that we begin to move forward on doing things that take Miami, like small cities like Knoxville, Tennessee, already have this, and takes us into the future. It's an incremental process. Of course, we can't come in and give free Wi-Fi to everybody overnight.
I'm all ears, but let me just say this to you, that we just made the amended budget. Obviously, there might be something that we could start minimal, but the very vast bulk of this is going to be something that we're going to have to look at when we start working on the next fiscal year's budget that begins October 1st of this year. In particular, if it's closer to $3 million, and then what I've heard is that it's about $400,000 a year that we have to put into it. So, you know, I know that $1 million here and $1 million there don't seem like a lot of money, but it adds up.
I know, so, through the chair,
Yes, you're recommending.
if you could please walk us through what we spoke about yesterday.
Yeah, the approach is, the amount that's been referenced is for the entirety across all parks. And it is a more enterprise solution. It's a different approach than just putting a basic Wi-Fi connection that you might get through Comcast, which is what's actually exists in some of the parks today. It's not something that's scalable to the entire organization. What we're proposing is, one, a little bit more time up front to do a more in-depth assessment. What you're seeing right now is just preliminary discovery, talking to other cities, exploring what we know about how this could work. One thing that we don't know is where all the fiber is currently buried, and that will affect costs, because if you don't have fiber around a particular park, it's going to involve additional digging, it's going to involve potentially additional permit fees, et cetera. So a little bit of time to gather some intel on that piece, and also a proper assessment of need, working with you all to make sure that we understand what's the need in the individual districts. Are there areas that currently don't have connectivity as part of that fiber backhaul assessment? It's also going to give us a sense of neighborhoods and communities that don't have great connectivity today. We generally know some of these things just from the places that we live, but we want it to be a little bit more data-driven. And then the idea is that we do this rather than kind of we're going to do all parks blanket approach, that we take a much more agile approach to doing this, which is how we like to launch tech, so we can do limited number of parks up front. We'll do something in every district, kind of getting a sense of what would happen in a medium-sized park and a large-sized park. Based on what we learn from there, then we'll figure out what the right approach and time scale is to scale this up to a different level. We proposed some kind of preliminary dates on what that could look like. We think we can get to that first phase with some preliminary parks by July. And there's a different, all kinds of different options on technology on how to get to that point. And we want a little bit of discovery on how to do that and what might be appropriate for future parks down the line.
Mr. Sarasti, is the goal that we're not just talking about indoor at the community centers within
Correct.
parks.
This
We're
is
talking
outdoor.
about even within the green space envelope of a
Yes.
park so that a kid, let's say has a laptop or an iPad but does not have a phone connection with that device, they would be able to sit down at a park bench and do their homework with Wi-Fi.
Yeah, so this is another point I sort of wanted to make from this learning experience, because while we are trying to solve digital divide by this, it will probably be interesting to find out how users are going to use Wi-Fi in those parks. Are they really going in the middle of summer, going to be trying to do work out of there, or how is that going to work over the course of the year? So I think making sure that we couple whatever we deploy for that pilot phase has a feedback loop associated with it, I think is going to help inform the commission. So, because we may come back and say, hey, we've done this deployment, we actually learned that people aren't using the park Wi-Fi in an expected way, and then we can reallocate maybe some of that funding to do a different digital divide initiative in a different kind of facility. So we want an opportunity to come back with something to help inform this body.
Through the chair.
Yes, you're recognized.
I'm sorry, I was in a little boy's room when they presented them. Who are you?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't introduce myself. Mike Sarasti, I'm the Director of Innovation and Technology for the city.
You work for the city of Miami?
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, apologies, I should have done that.
I hear you speaking.
What's your salary, Mike?
I'm sorry?
What's your salary?
What's my what?
Your salary?
My salary, $155, I believe, sir.
A lot less than you were making before.
I'm sorry?
A lot less than you were making before. Thank you.
No, but thank you.
Let me ask you a question. And all these numbers that all this cost, and who developed this cost?
I'm sorry, sir?
We have cost estimates here.
Yes.
And not that I'm doubting that you can, but I'm sorry, it's a weakness that I have. I used to be a budget officer, and
yes, sir.
And I'm a numbers guy. Who developed this cost estimate? You did?
So I did a good portion of that with information from my staff. I reached out to a couple other of my counterparts, CIOs in other cities, to see what their experience had been, and just what we know about the vendor space.
So
right now.
these are just raw estimates right now.
It's a little bit farther along than a napkin math, to be honest.
Were you conservative in your
Yes.
projections? Now, if we go ahead with this, who is going to install this?
I'm sorry, with what?
Do we have a company that it is already on the pipeline to do this?
No, sir.
How are you going to decide who's going to do it?
So that's
Can
something.
we do it? Can we do it? It's going to be done in-house, or we have to?
No, this isn't something that we would venture to do with in-house staff. We're just not staffed to support something at this scale. There are pieces of it that maybe we would. We do support public Wi-Fi in this facility, other facilities, fire stations, and some of the indoor, potential is to do some of the indoor parks. This is on a different scale, so it would likely require support. Again, maybe multiple carriers and multiple partners, depending on what we choose to do in different areas.
And last question.
Yes, sir.
I remember that we had a company here that was illuminating
Yes, sir.
technology that they were proposing use it to Wi-Fi free of charge.
Yep.
Free of charge. It wasn't going to cost us a penny because of some commissioners didn't like whatever. The thing is that instead of partnering with us, they did it on their own and then installing their own towers right now, and we didn't get a penny or any of these benefits. Now, we also have those. I remember those kiosks like Ike, right? That we have all along many places. They're going to be installed all over the city in the different areas. Can those kiosks also provide Wi-Fi to certain parks?
Yeah.
For example, Bayfront Park. Bayfront Park, those kiosks that they are around Bayfront Park, it could be provided by them free of charge.
Yeah, so what we found in some places that something like a kiosk could make perfect sense in certain types of parks. Other places, when they put kiosks, it doesn't fit the theme of the park or the general feel.
What I'm trying to say is that I would like to see an estimate that incorporates the ability for us to obtain free Wi-Fi from those people that are actually providing services. That they're being authorized by the city to place some of those poles. I will even go back to illumination technology, since they're going to be in certain areas. See if we can incorporate certain parks that are near that with them. What I'm trying to do is get an estimate of cost that really incorporates all the probabilities of obtaining free service.
Yeah, and illumination's a good example of a neutral host provider.
Yes.
And in a mix, this is going to take a mixed approach, and it won't be one technology to rule them all. So I think it makes total sense to revisit neutral host providers.
Let
as
me
an
make
option.
this perfectly clear. I really like the idea, and I stated it before when illumination technology was here. You see? I think that we all agree with it, but what I want is a real estimate that includes everything that
Commissioner
that I
Reyes,
just mentioned.
what I'd recommend is an amendment, because what we have here is a resolution giving the manager by June 1st of this year to
No, that's-
take any and all steps necessary to provide the Wi-Fi, which means
Mr. Chair.
between 1.5 and 3 million,
No,
big
Mr.
checks
Chair.
can get spent very quickly.
Mr. Chair, no.
So if a plan comes back to us that we approve and roll out where it's
Mr.
going to be
Chair.
selectively done,
Mr. Chair.
it could be maybe more specific. Yes, you recognize.
That's not the issue.
Did I read the resolution incorrectly?
You read, well, you obviously weren't briefed yesterday. So I had a conversation yesterday. This is what we're doing here. We're not spending $1.5 million. What we're doing is we're giving the administration direction through this resolution to install free Wi-Fi for our residents by a certain date. So my conversation yesterday was that they told me, the administration, they cannot do it by a certain date. So what I want to do, my proposal is very simple. I want our residents to have free Wi-Fi. If they can do it by October 1st, by November 1st, the faster the better, from my perspective. The date that we put in there was for the first phase, not to use any particular entity or any particular company. I don't care who they use. But for our residents, that's up to them to come back to us and say, hey, we can incorporate all these different technologies, whether it's Ike, whether it's whatever companies that illumination technologies, whoever it is, they come together and say, this is what we can do, and this is the least expensive way we can do it to make sure our citizens get what they need. That's what it does. So the amendment that you want to do is an amendment that I already have spoken to the administration about, which is give us a time frame that we can do it, and maybe Mr. Noriega can address it, or you can address it, sir. How do we get there? This is a public policy decision on a goal for a governmental entity, for a city to move into the future, so that our citizens can have free Wi-Fi in all our parks. The quicker, the better, right?
Yes, sir.
So that's what we want to do. So
So
how
what
we
is-
phrase that and how we write it, how we amend it, I don't care. But I want it to happen because it's important to send a clear message that our city has ideas that are forward-thinking. Not that we're going to be stuck in the past, but we're going to be focused on the future. And Wi-Fi is one of those futuristic things that we need to focus on.
Thank you. Can someone recommend an amendment that would bring this back with a specific plan and budget and move in as quickly as possible? Yeah.
Commissioner, it's hard to hear you.
I'm not as savvy in this new technology as you youngsters, but G5, the new G5 network, 5G. I'm thinking of some other people.
Hey, G5 is a club. It's a club.
City of Miami's getting a G5.
You sound like me.
The 5G technology, that is Wi-Fi too, right?
Different technology. So 5G really relates to the access that you'll get on your device through cellular
How fast
networks.
and how much you could do and everything, correct?
I don't have those numbers in front of me. It actually varies across 5G networks. 5G on one carrier is not the same as another. Wi-Fi is faster. That's one actually thing that we need to talk about here in Wi-Fi. What's the minimum standard for connectivity? Are we going to create slower access, medium level access, higher level access that'll affect cost?
Explain this to me, on the 5G and Wi-Fi, do we accomplish the same thing if parks have 5G versus Wi-Fi or not?
So the 5G network, if we were to install a 5G network, it would probably be for something that we're doing internally. We wouldn't be maintaining a 5G network that you would access from your cell phone. That is really, the carriers really do that. You sign up for, there's no 5G cellular service that we're going to be offering as a city. We could use, as part of this Wi-Fi implementation, though, there are devices that also project out 5G, which means that we could do, an autonomous vehicle pilot, or we could have camera technology to use internally. There's all kinds of stuff you could do that we could use for internal purposes by using 5G technology. But it's a little different than when we're talking about it publicly, because that's really referring to cellular service and you being able to get that kind of service from your phone.
Now, which are the companies out there that we will go to, or they will come to us to be able to do all this Wi-Fi installation in parks? Which are some of the companies that do this kind of work?
I mean, there's any number of them. It could be the carriers have come before in the past and said, hey, we can do a Wi-Fi hotspot set up through a mesh network and use cellular connectivity. There are carriers that only sell just hardware, and then you have to contract with Xfinity or FPL for fiber connectivity. So
Give me some names, though, the main carriers out there that you will go to do this Wi-Fi work for us.
I haven't received the list yet from a couple of the other cities, and it's different by a carrier, but I have asked for that from other cities. Again, all the major carriers we've talked to in the past, companies like Illumination, there's a whole slew of that type of company that's come by. The other week there was a...
You keep saying Illumination, but I'm sure there are more than Illumination. And, I mean, if you were brought in at a salary cut to you of $155,000 or $165,000, I would assume that you know the field, so you know what some of the other companies are besides Illumination.
Sure, yeah. And there's Extenet, there's Ubiquia, there are, I have a full list I can sit and we can give you the smart city vendors in terms of email that's coming in is probably where I get the most emails flowing in with people, trying to pitch different kinds of smart technology. So we maintain inventories and lists of that we're happy to share so you can see the variety of product across different types of technology.
Did you send every member of the commission when you have the opportunity before the end of next week, a list of all the possible providers for this service that we might go to?
We'll try to give you a nice big comprehensive list. It'll probably be a long one. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is there an action on this item?
So I would say, instead of saying it's a resolution of the Miami City Commission directing, if I may through you, Mr. Chair. A resolution of the Miami City Commission directing the city manager to take all steps necessary to provide Wi-Fi internet service free to the public in all city of Miami parks starting on June 1st, 2021. So they can start the process.
Does that mean anything would come back to us to approve budget?
Everything. Yeah, of course.
It seems
Commissioner,
just a moment. It seems when we pass a resolution, take any steps all necessary, that's sort of the end of it, right?
They come back to us, of course.
Okay,
No, I mean-
I have a little problem with this because we're setting a date. I agree that we have to do it, and we have to do it. But before we set a date, we have to provide time, because before I vote on this, I want to know all the alternatives that we have, cost savings activities that we can undertake. For example, if we can partnership or we can get some of that technology, whatever technology it is, from whoever it has one of those poles, maybe we can get it with free of charge. You see? And you know that is possible, Mr. Soros. You know that is possible.
Yes,
I want you to go and the administration to go and investigate different type, the different activities that we could undertake in order to lower the cost.
The only
Commissioner
reason.
Diaz-Portillo, then Commissioner Carrillo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The only reason we're providing a date is to put, some.
I know you.
To push government. I was trying to look for the right word. But, to push government, any government, in this case.
That's right, I know.
To move
They move
forward.
very slowly.
Because I don't want our government to come back to us in 2023 and say, hey, we finally figured out.
No, I'm not saying that.
Every other city is doing it, has done it, Barcelona's doing it. So to me, it's kind of like, the reason for the date is only is to make sure that we put
Okay.
the fuel on the fire so that they understand that it's important to move our city forward, that's all. You can get rid of the date and say, come back to us, do what, and then we can direct them and go back to them and say, hey, you know what, Mr. Manager, please, hurry it up, sir, hurry it up, we want to get it done. Of course we want cost savings. Of course we want to get the best deal. Of course.
Oh my God.
But the ultimate goal is to make sure that our citizens have free Wi-Fi, and in particular, our poorer citizens, so they can go to a park and they can have access. To lessen and lower that digital divide. That's the only purpose here.
That's right.
Yeah, so we get rid of the date and we leave it up to them, and we can also, as we move forward, we can encourage them to move forward.
Could you allow me finish my thought? What I'm saying is,
He recognized me, so that's why I was finishing my thought, and I apologize for that.
listen,
When you
what
guys
I'm
are
saying,
done-
what I'm saying is this. Instead of giving him a date that it be accomplished, we give him a date to come with a report. And when he comes with a report, we set a date, because that's the only logical and smart thing to do.
Okay.
That's what in my opinion. And give him a set date to come back to this commission with alternatives. How can we do this efficiently? Okay? How we can do it efficiently that we can, and that we cover every single thing. How long do you need to bring a report to the city of Miami Commission?
I think we need at least, there's a couple months just to do this fiber assessment that we have to do. Possibly taking that to the next level to go a little bit in more detail that I'm hearing you describe, Commissioner. An extra month for that would be helpful, just to be able
By
to put this
April,
together.
could you be able to bring it? By March, April, February?
I was going to suggest May to give us enough time to do it properly, mainly because we're also waiting on access to some data that won't come until the end of March.
And then when you come with this proposal, then give us a date that it should be accomplished, or how long at the time frame that can be accomplished. And then we set a date, they have to be by this time. Is that?
Sir.
That, Chairman? Okay, thank you. Part of what you've asked for is what I wanted to hear, but there's more. When you started giving your presentation, you only gave us a piecemeal part of it. You really are not sure the cost that this will entitle. When I see estimates that are so wide, that is clear to me that you don't know where this could go. And this could go a lot higher or not. So I cannot vote for something telling the manager that he must do something that we don't have a firm estimate. This is a rushed numbers that were thrown. And we will be irresponsible without having those firm numbers. Secondly, what I need to know, once you establish where the cost is going to be at, where are we getting the dollars from? That's part of some of the ordinance that we have. And before we voted on this, we need to know where are we getting the money to accomplish it. That's why I said before that most likely this is going to be for the next fiscal year, depending what comes. Because frankly, the more I hear and the COVID situation, it's, you know, it's scary. So what I think that we're ready for is giving the administration our intentions of what we would like to see, but not telling him that he's got to do this, because we'd be going against our own ordinances if we're instructing the administration to spend money that we don't know first how much it's going to be, and secondly, where's it coming from? And we need all that to be given to us. The one thing that I did hear clearly from you was that you gave us an estimate of 3 months before you feel you would have all the information. The manager should certainly, with his budget people, have the financial request that I made sooner than that. So I would be willing to entertain a resolution that would give you until the end of April, before it's brought to us then in the first meeting in May, with all the requests and information that we should have and need to do. And you've been asked to provide to us here, letting the administration know that this commission has a keen interest in getting this accomplished, and we would like to have all this information so that we could make a final determination of what we can do and what we can afford to do.
Okay. And Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla, you agree with that?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Okay, and I want to take this opportunity to congratulate you, and I thank you for bringing this up.
Thank you, sir.
This is something that is very much needed,
Absolutely.
okay? But I hope you understand my concern.
Oh,
what is the action?
Look, as long as we move our city forward.
We are going to move forward, okay?
And that's
I
the step in
second
the
that
past,
motion.
absolutely.
So what's the motion? You got the motion?
Yeah.
Direct the administration to come
Second.
back. Yeah, I got the motion as my item, so I'll move it.
No, okay.
Yes,
You moving that motion?
Yes, sir.
And I second.
thank you.
I withdraw my motion so he could make a
Okay,
motion.
fantastic.
Thank you.
I
Very
second.
fair. Barnaby, have you captured that?
I'm going to review the minutes to make sure I have it
You
correct.
will watch the tape. But we are clear.
The clerk's got it, so don't worry.
Clerk always has.
They don't, it
That's
doesn't
who-
mean
Clerk doesn't
it's a bit.
That's who we pay to capture all that.
All right,
That's why he gets paid the big bucks, right?
thank you. Is there any further discussion on RE6? There is a motion and a second. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
As amended.
Motion passes as amended. We shall break for lunch, come back at 3 p.m.
3 PM it is.
3 p.m.
Thank you.
very much, everyone.
Okay.